Welcome to the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. May the Force be with you.
Looky, Senator. Decent Jedi arriving.
Let's make this our best show ever!
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
I am the Senate.
This is the way.
So hello Star Wars fans and welcome to December 2022 episode of the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This episode was recorded on the 10th of December 2022 using the powerful day out of the Force, which pairs two Force-sensitive beings, making them one with the Force and sharing a connection that spans across space and time, otherwise known as Microsoft and Skype in this case. My name is Stephen, the Chancellor of this Senate, the obligatory Brit contingent of this otherwise American crew, as we all get together to talk positively about Star Wars for roughly the next 2 hours. And I haven't had much time to think about this, but this episode is brought to you by Palpatine. He has returned, or he will return in the next season 2 of The Bad Batch, as we've seen him in the trailer. So he has returned again, kind of, but not again because it's in the past.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
But before we get going proper, as ever, it's time to hear from our sponsors at this festive time of the year to hear what they have to tell you.
So it's stir, whip, 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 stir. Stir, whip, 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 stir. Let's try it again together at an increased tempo. Stir, whip, 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 stir.
Right, that's interesting, very interesting. Yes, thank you very much to our sponsors, keeping us going as ever. Okay, so I'm in the UK, but I'm joined by my fellow positive friends from across the big pond in the United States of America. And this episode, it is a little bit of a select crew, but we have Ricky.
Hello.
And Ryan.
Hello there.
And that's it. Yes. It's just us three this month. We won't go into all the ins and outs of all that. But
no more, no
just
less.
busy holiday, pretty much.
People are just
it's all
busy.
holiday for
December,
everybody.
yeah, we've had to throw things around and try to get as many as we can at one point, and we've just got 3. So on this episode, hopefully we will have a little chat about the Bad Batch trailer, and we will have a little bit of the High Republic discussion, specifically around the Path of Deceit book, and provided we haven't bored ourselves to death at that point for some any reason, we will be having a little Christmas quiz, of which I believe Ricky holds the previous trophy.
Wait, didn't I lose the last contest we did?
Okay, maybe you lost. No,
To Ron, I think. Did Ron win?
Marie?
Ron,
Or-
well, one of us won it.
It wasn't me. I know that.
No, certainly
I
wasn't.
gained an early lead and then crumble.
Yes, I can't remember now. I should have made a note. But I have to listen back to some of the episodes, which are all online and your favourite podcast app, which you should know actually if you're listening to this, of course. Okay, so we will start with a quickie around the table to see what everybody's been up to in Star Wars Land these last 30-ish days since the last episode rolled out of the conveyor belt. And we will start with Ricky.
Hello. All right. Yeah, it was pretty action-packed Star Wars month. My daughter did have a birthday, and she had a Star Wars birthday party, so that was pretty fun. We did Star Wars board games. We had a piñata. We had like all kinds of stuff and goodie bags and everything. My whole house just looked like Star Wars, so it was awesome. So we did that, and then we actually had Rise of Skywalker on the TV during the party, and everybody was kind of into it, so that was pretty cool. Had some cantina music going on, had a cake and all that stuff. So that was most of my month, but we also have been rewatching Rebels, which was pretty good. I think we got to like season 3. What else did I do?
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, no, my daughter got really into it and just binging. So
You've overtook Ryan. We'll get to that.
yeah, like, we passed Ryan. I was trying to follow along with what he was watching, and then like we just kept going. So it's a fun show. I love Rebels. Yeah, it's really good. I did pick up some more action figures. I actually went to GameStop last month, and then I found Who did I grab? Oh, I got one of those Mandalorian Darth Maul guys. With the horns on the helmet. I found one of those guys on the clearance at GameStop, and then I also got a Christmas Mandalorian, like a Boba Fett. But it's I guess they release these Black Series that are all holidayed out. So he's got the green and red, but he's a Mando. So that guy was pretty cool. What else? I feel like there's a lot other things that. Oh, I did pick up. I picked up the Clone Wars game last month, and so I played that for the first time this week. So that was pretty fun. We didn't get through a whole game yet, but I'm probably gonna play today. But yeah, that game, that's a huge board on that board game.
I like the look of that game.
Yeah, it's good quality.
Yeah, it is. I really like it. I play it solo mostly, but yeah, I played that thing a bunch, and it's just really fun because I make a little story of like jumping from planet to planet and stuff. So, but once you start to play it, I definitely want to know your favorite and least favorite or hardest people to play as.
Yeah, we just did Ventress the first time. So, but I was just like getting giddy because like when you get your squad cards, I had got Jesse and fives and it's like, oh, I got most of Domino Squad. I'm like, yeah, I was all happy. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's basically like you're watching Clone Wars, but you're playing an episode. So like that was pretty cool. And then I don't know what else. There's probably tons of other stuff. I did pick up Convergence on audiobook, and then I picked up. I'll probably listen to that this week before I start Quest of the Hidden City. If that's what it's called, right? I keep saying it wrong. Right?
Yeah,
it's because they've chosen to release I think it's very similar titles for the children ones, haven't they? So
I think it's Quest for the Hidden City.
It is.
Yeah. I was planning on watching the holiday special last night, but I didn't get a chance to. So I'll probably do that tonight. I have to watch my annual viewing of the holiday special. Alone by myself because nobody will watch it with me.
Do you just use YouTube for that?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, I've been patiently waiting for it to come out on D+, so I can experience the whole thing. But
it's never
with
going.
licensing, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Never going to. I probably should figure out how to get it off of YouTube and just to save it because it's probably not going to stay up there very long. I'm surprised it's still up there. But the one that I watch on YouTube has the it's like somebody had a VHS tape and just recorded off the TV because it does the whole tonight the Incredible Hulk and Wonder Woman will not be shown.
That's funny.
For this holiday. Yeah, so it's different, but yeah, I like watching it. It's a tradition with me. I've been watching it every year. So, but yeah, that's pretty much been it. I think besides playing some games and getting some holiday Star Wars decorations and stuff, I got some Grogu hot cocoa balls and stuff like that. I got a giant Grogu that's sitting by the tree that's holding a present. So yeah, it's been pretty good. Just looking forward to Christmas and decorate the tree with ornaments and stuff like that. So that's been fun.
All right, is it decorated yet?
Yeah, no, everything's decorated.
Okay, I was about to say you haven't decorated your tree yet.
No,
like,
no,
why have
I did my tree like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I'm just trying to look for more ornaments so I could throw on the tree because I have a bunch of Star Wars stuff on there. But anytime I see something in the store, I've been grabbing it. So.
Okay. Right. I didn't ask to say about the birthday. Was the cake Star Wars-y?
Yes, it was. It had the OT characters on the top. It was a round cake. It had OT characters on the top, so Luke and Yoda and everybody. And then around the side, it had like a fondant, like a border that had like Stormtroopers and Darth Vader's face and stuff. So, and then we had these. I think I took a picture. My wife has the pictures on her phone. But yeah, we had these. My wife found these candles that actually looked like lightsabers, so we put those on the cake. So it was pretty fun.
Nice.
Fantastic. Always makes me want to have a child just so I can force them to grow up with Star Wars and I can enjoy Star Wars again for the second childhood.
It is different watching it with kids because you enjoy it more. Like you watch it through their eyes, and the stuff that people like complain and rant about, it's stuff that kids like. So I mean, it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, one of my best memories for The Last Jedi is I went and seen it before my kids, and then I took my kids on the second viewing and I watched them watch it. And it was just so great, and that feeling to see them enlightened, and whether it be like my son, being shocked when Snoke dies or when Luke throws the saber, like just so many crazy things. And watching them watch an experience for the first time was way better than anything I could do.
Because they have none of that like noise from the internet, and they're just purely watching the movie like we did when we were little. So, they enjoy it. They know they watch something, they're gonna watch it and enjoy it. Not like, oh, let me look for this, let me look for that. Oh, they did this,
And there's no history in what they're capable and all this other stuff, because when my son, he watched the Kenobi series, I think he watched it all, and he literally like called me right after and was like, this is the best series ever. Kenobi is the greatest Jedi ever, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I'm not trying to bring up like conversation. It's like, well, technically his powers are kind of unbalanced. And don't you think that, Vader should have survived? Like all these other weird questions. It's like, no, they just enjoyed it because it had a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And he likes the prequel, even though he's in his teens, he likes the prequel trilogy far more than any others. And really it's because, and I say this too, it just generally has more action, and that's what kids want to see too. Lots of flippy stuff. They like Jedi, they like crazy stuff, and
like adventure stuff.
And the Kenobi had a ton of that at the end. It was a slow build, but at the end he was like, Obi-Wan's the greatest Jedi in history, running around type of stuff. And I was like, that's what I like to see, is enjoying a big story like that. So
I had Kenobi on. I started from the beginning when I was preparing for the party last weekend, and I got to like the 4th episode. I'm like, man, this show's really good. I gotta sit down and actually rewatch the whole thing again. Like, there's like nothing really like I missed, but like it's just a fun show to watch. Like, there's so much cool visuals, and you go back to the temple and all. Like it's awesome.
Everything's better as a binge.
Just
watch it back to back.
Yeah, that seems to be it, because you don't have to wait. I'm pretty sure if I rewatch Andor again, as a binge, it's going to be I've done it a couple times, like the first 3 episodes, but because they're not very long, any of those episodes. But yeah, binging is the new weekly viewing, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, moving along. Ryan.
All right, so my Star Warsing over this past month is I'm still trying to keep up with Rebels. I double checked, and I'm on season 2, episode 4, which is when they, I guess, discover the other clone troopers, all those guys, whatever their names were, Vibes and all them.
When they're fishing.
Yeah, they seem to be on some
Rex
desert planet that they need some information from. Rex, Wolf, and
Gregor.
But yeah, I remember seeing them. Oh, was it Gregor? Okay, it's weird without their helmets. So
do you remember Gregor, right?
But
do you remember from Clone Wars?
No.
He
had like one eye, didn't he?
No, that was Wolf, right?
Wolf? Okay, that's Wolf. Yeah, because one of them had like one eye.
Gregor wasn't he the one that was stuck on that planet in the void with Weaver Gascon and all that? Yeah,
with the droids.
Yeah, remember he was like a dishwasher, and like he saved them and seemingly died. Well, apparently he didn't. So.
Oh, I guess not. Yeah, that arc I did not enjoy, and I was just like trying. I might have skipped. I was like, this is unbearable. Like, so I don't remember much about that one.
Yeah, no, it was cool to see Rex again in Rebels. That they brought them all back.
So what did you think about the sort of steroids version of the of Rex?
Yeah, they're jacked up. Yeah, they're all jacked up. So yeah, it just feels like another kind of like a, I don't know, like a filler episode. Maybe not filler, obviously, because you're revealing a bunch of big characters. But it's just, I'm still interested to see where it goes. I know things happen because I've seen images of Ezra with cut hair, and I'm unfortunately, again, the show's super old, so I can't be like, oh, I can't believe this was spoiled for me. But Kanan is blind at one point or permanently, I don't know. So I'm just interested to see how those things pretty much fall out and how they go. Oh, he just fought Vader. That's what Kanan did. He fought Vader, and I was like, man, Vader should have stomped him. I guess he was doing it with one hand pretty much, but it's just the classic. Yeah, well, they blew up something and knocked them off and then flew away. So it's the classic, the Sith or the bad guy is overzealous and overconfident and pretty much easily deflecting all the blows, kind of like Kylo. And then they get one shot off on them and then everyone runs away type of thing. And it's like their overconfidence is what their weakness always has been for the Sith.
It was interesting with you watching this after watching Kenobi, because your introduction to the Inquisitor was actually chronologically correct. So like when you're watching, like you were watching season 1, and then at the finale you're like, oh, he survived. I'm like, no, he didn't.
Oh yeah, that's the weird thing. It's like, what a weird character to introduce and tell nothing about. But the comic went back and explores a lot. I mean, that's his backstories. And I read the comic, I think, even before this show, the
Mm.
Vader series, I want to say series 2, the second volume, which is directly after Revenge of the Sith. Great series, one of the best Vader ones. So, but yeah, that's where I learned almost everything about him. So
Oh,
now
okay,
I see him
Revenge.
here, and I was like, there's got to be more than that. And you're like, no, that's it. And I was like, wow, no wonder they put him in the comic and why they put him in the show, because he's an interesting character, but he's just not explored at all.
Has
It
Thrawn
didn't.
signed up yet?
It didn't seem that like
Yeah.
he was in there for like that long when I binged it again. But I'm like, man, those episodes were like, you got to figure back then when those were on, they came on like weekly with the exception of holidays, and then there was a break in between the season, so we had to wait like a month for like the second half of the season. So it did seem like you were with the Inquisitor for like a year, you know. So,
Yeah.
but rewatching it, it's like,
No.
oh, he's dead already.
And he just like fell into an explosion, and I'm like, shoot, people survive more than that. And you're like, no, that's it. I'm like, oh, what? So now I have this expectation. They're like, oh, nobody really dies. That was just an explosion. I'm like, oh no, he's dead. Oh, okay, whatever. So I'm glad I got more backstory from him in the Vader comics and Kenobi. He was a good character in those, so I'm glad to see more. So I'm keep going with Rebels. I did finish Quest for the Hidden City, the High Republic book. I finished that. I started reading because I use a digital library for a lot of my stuff, and sometimes when I ran out of things to read after Quest for the Hidden City, and I knew Convergence wasn't going to be out, so I downloaded all the volumes for the 2020 Marvel main Star Wars series, and I started reading that, and that was like binging that. I'm glad I'm binging it because there's a couple slow issues in between, but reading that has been really good. So I mean, and what the one, because it talks about how Luke gets his yellow saber, which is huge. You know, you have this big gap. I think it was only it's a year between the episodes, but they're just filling in so much. Yeah, you didn't know that.
No.
He lost his saber in Cloud City, and he got another saber. So between that and his green saber, he had a yellow lightsaber.
What? Well, I guess that kind of like retcons the action figure with the yellow lightsaber.
yeah, it makes it real. So, but yeah, so he has he has his lightsaber. He explores High Republic temples, and that's what I love. I went back and I checked the dates for some of these, and I love that this series and the very first From a Certain Point of View novel, they were both released before the High Republic ever released. But, and we've discussed it in the past, the From a Certain Point of View New Hope novel brings up the great hyperspace disaster before Light of the Jedi was ever released. And in these comics, they bring up, that you want to travel to this Jedi temple. It's an old temple from the High Republic. And it's like, there's nothing on it. And I think that issue probably released a month or two after Light of the Jedi. But it's, again, I love that these series, but it takes months to write, draw, colorize.
That was like probably back when it was still rumored Project Luminous. You know, that was the placeholder name.
Yeah, and now Leia's putting together a teammate called the Starlight Team, where they go out and they're like searching for things, and they use people called Pathfinders. They use people called Pathfinders for like sneaking into areas, and it's like I'm loving all the High Republic. Anything that mentions High Republic pretty much immediately like gets my full attention. And one of the reason I'm reading really is because I know one of the up and coming issues, like the next 2 of the Star Wars run, they go to No Space, which is the big open platform that the Nile use. So they go to No Space.
Well, that's where the Martian had his ship and everything, right?
Yeah, remember how it's just a big blank platform that looks into space?
Yeah.
They go there to, I don't know, look for stuff. And I don't know if we shared it in our group, but one of the variant covers or the covers for the upcoming issues is the picture of the robot that Markion gets at the end of Fallen Star. Remember how he unwraps this big threatening robot and we have no idea what it looks like? This comic issue, the cover is what the robot is. And I was like, I didn't even realize it until I seen the Nile image and people are like, dude, that's the robot. And it looks like it's got these huge shoulder spikes. It's really cool.
Doesn't, I went back. Mom like run off screaming when she sees it or something.
Yara's mom or whatever.
Yeah,
it's Mistress. It's Mistress, isn't it? Or whatever.
It's Mistress.
Oh yeah, it wasn't. The Senator.
Senator Staros.
Yeah, the Senator Staros. Yeah.
Yeah, Gara Staros. Yeah. So, but yeah, they have this big scary robot. it looks like an anime robot, but I forgot which one it was. The one where the dog turns into a kid. Anime people know what I'm talking about. Kid turns into a dog. It's one of the most horrible scenes in anime history.
What?
But yeah, it's I forget. It's I almost had it. Anime or Netflix made a live action show of it too. I can't remember what it is, but anybody who watches anime, there's this legendary scene of where this child gets transformed into a dog, and it's horrifying. So for all of these reasons, but I'll skip by it. But yeah, I just love how there's all these tie-ins with the High Republic, and in the book, the Empire fights. I shouldn't say fight because I'm hoping to see more, but they battle this a person with the last name Roe, who is trying to bring about the Nile again, and it's literally like one page, and it's a flashback, so it happens like technically before Empire Strikes Back, because this commander goes to Palpatine's like, this person's stirring up something, and I don't want him stirring up any more drama. It's from an ancient, band of marauders that caused a lot of trouble in the galaxy. And this was long before Mark Rowe was like, the big guy, and before all these books came out to show how threatening he was. But it's funny seeing the stories that's 250 years in the future, where it's like, yeah, these guys caused a lot of trouble in the galaxy. And we think there's someone trying to, talk about them. Kind of like people fly certain flags where it's like, well, this is just family matters. Like, shut up, you idiot. It's an old dead flag. So, and the Empire just flies up to this guy and bombs his house and then leaves. And I'm like, well, that shows how strong the Empire is, and they don't screw around. Technically, it's like the guy maybe survives, but it's like 5 issues later, and it doesn't even come back to the story. So I'm hoping they explore more of it, just because it's a simple mention of the Nile. So I'm loving the Star Wars comic series so far, surprisingly, as a binge. So it's great. So I'm doing that. And then I don't know if you guys got the advent calendar for Star Wars Funko Pops. I don't know if you know anybody that got that.
I almost bought it, and then GameStop app does this weird thing where it tells you it's available, and then when you go to buy it, it says it's not available anywhere within 50 miles. So I couldn't get it. Yeah.
So as everybody knows, me and the wife are huge Funko fans, and usually I don't care about advent calendars because it's usually just the same stuff but smaller. But my wife has a little Christmas village, and all these figures are like an inch big, maybe. But I gotta say, it's been great so far. It has a lot of new characters. It seems like a lot of exclusives. Unfortunately, I already seen a spoiler because someone else got. I won't say what it is in case my wife listens to the episode, because I want to get this character really bad. But it's a variant that hasn't been shown in the Snowmen, because all the new Snowman figures that they have, like Snowman Darth. Oh, and they have like a Snowman Stormtrooper, but we have the big Snowman Stormtrooper. So my wife is like, it's bring your son to work day type of thing. But the funniest part was,
how big are the figures in the calendar? Like
an inch.
The smaller ones, right? Okay, like an inch. Okay.
Yeah, like the keychain figures. So I just thought they were going to be a bunch of reprints, and a lot of them aren't. Like, they're very Christmas specific. At one point, we got a flocked Chewie, which I didn't think they'd flock something that small. But I think my favorite one so far is, I don't like the Ghost Yoda, Funko, because it's huge. Well, I got a mini Ghost, force projection Yoda. So it fits perfectly that I can now put him next to any one of my Luke Skywalker Empire Strikes Back one, because now he's the perfect size Funko. And it immediately sold me when we got that, because I was like, okay, I love this whole set now, because now he's actual size of kind of what he would be, rather than being the same size 3-inch character. So the advent calendar has been really fun. Once we're done with it, I'll probably post some pictures of everything, just because I think they come in different order for everybody. So what I may have gotten now, that's why I'm not doing daily posts. Someone may not get 10 days.
People get those. I've seen a couple of videos where they'll just open them all up on a YouTube video all at once. I'm like, you're spoiling it for everybody. That's not the point of the calendar.
So
we usually do the Lego ones, but we didn't get one this year. The last couple of years we've done the Lego ones.
Yeah, the kid is doing one. He likes it. I don't think it's not branded or anything. It's just a Christmas scene. So, but it has a mailbox and a cake. So, and a birdhouse. So again, they like advent calendars. But this the Star Wars one that they have, if you like Funkos, if you could find it, I definitely recommend getting it and then catching up. And it goes perfect with a Christmas city. So
I got
Tom-
a thing of Star Wars socks that I got to open starting on the 12th. So
oh yeah, 12 days of socks.
yeah, I'm doing a Marvel one right now. So as soon as this one's done, then after I've got some Thor socks and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Mando ones. And then my daughter got a little Grogu one too. So we're both gonna have Star Wars socks leading up to
Nice.
Christmas. So yeah, no, we usually do the Star Wars Lego ones, but we realized that we would open it in the morning and then the figure would sit there for like 2 days and nobody would build it.
You're like, awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But no, that's it for me. Yeah, it's been a good, a lot of different stuff as far as Star Wars in this month, so that's good.
Somehow I ended up with a Peppa Pig advent calendar.
Oh, nice. I like Peppa Pig.
Yeah, no, I love Peppa Pig. Unfortunately, the chocolate that's inside it is petit Peppa Pig, very small, very small. It was a cheap thing going. My sister just got it for me, and I like having advent calendars, but it's just not. Yeah, it's not to the Funko Pop level, I have to say. Well, we've got a bit more time. I'll just say that I am about. I've been reading the Search. It got me going now. I can't remember the name of the title of the book even now. Search for the Hidden Temple.
Quest for the Hidden.
Yeah, Quest for the Hidden. It's
Temple.
not quite. They got too many similar titles. I tell you, we had Race to Flashpoint, didn't we? Then we had there's
Race to Crash Point Tower.
That's it. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's just too much of it. So I'm only about a couple of chapters away from the end of that one, so I'm almost done.
The middle grade books have the longest titles. Like, it's really weird.
Yeah, so I think that's making it more exciting for the youngsters, perhaps. I don't know.
What was the one with Vern where they were on that planet? Wasn't that one kind of a long one too?
That was, yes, it was.
They're usually like talking about journey or path or something like that, or quest.
Yeah. One with the two nihil on the creature planet using the leaves to stop the acid rain from coming on them and stuff like that.
And the little monkeys, yeah.
That's Test of Courage is the first one, ain't it?
Test of Courage.
Is that Test of Courage? Oh. Yeah. What was the other one?
Yeah,
it was like Darkness something. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know. Yeah.
Young adults were the dark out of the darkness into the shadows, into the darkness out of the shadows. Where the two, that always confuses me.
Yes, and I did actually this morning because I was eating and I couldn't read and eat at the same time very well, so I did start Convergence, but only literally the first two chapters, so hardly anything has happened. But it's good after having a break from having the books and then that previous kind of Path of Deceit, which is just literally just read out. It's nice to hear a proper full-scale production, which is what Convergence is. You've got all the sound effects, all the different voices. It's good to have Mark Thompson back because he just does such a great job on making it seem like an epic production.
He's great.
I have to say, it really does a really good job, and it really makes it sound like make a book sound like a Star Wars film in itself. So really good to. So I'm initially just started it, and I've heard all sorts of chat online. But haven't read and looked anything at it. But you see various headlines as Ryan would probably have seen, and seems to be some indifference about the book, is what I've picked up on. But I don't know anything yet. So we will have to make our own mind up about that as time goes on.
Yeah, I'll probably start that this week.
Yes, I mean, the only thing we said previously is the front cover wasn't overly exciting.
No, that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to buy it, really, because I was like, I'm hoping to wait for my library, but my library is historically inaccurate for getting adult books. Just the lady standing there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, with the
one single lady. And the same with the next book, the Convergence and Invergence, whatever the next one is. It's the same thing. It's just a dude standing on the cover. And you're like, look at Path of Deceit. Like, that is the most beautiful cover I've probably ever seen in Star Wars. And then this one is just a person standing there. Like, oh my god, what a terrible drop. But the young adult book blows them away.
Yeah, it did kind of look like a variant cover of a comic or something where it has
yes, that kind of thing. Yeah,
one person standing there.
Whereas
it wasn't exciting at all.
The whole Path of Deceit, it's almost if they went to town on the Path of Deceit one, because they've obviously thought about it, and the symbolism, what it symbolises is something in itself. It's not just the images, isn't it? It's got the mother in the middle. I've already forgotten her name on one side, Marta.
Marda.
Yeah. Close. And him on the
Yeah,
other
it has all the Sri Karai like around, like everything. And it's just a great color use, blue and purple, and the space, like the big space background. It's such an amazing image. And you just have a person standing on the adult books. You're like, this isn't eye catching at all, man. Like, come on. No offense to the authors or anything. But
it's like it's a rush job,
good.
isn't it? We just got to get something on there, and it's just put a great big image of some. It doesn't even.
Maybe they didn't want to reveal too much in the story. I don't know.
Sorry?
Maybe they didn't want to reveal too much of the story on the cover.
Maybe, but maybe they don't have to. I mean, Path of Deceit thing, I didn't get the front cover until I got about halfway through the book, and I realised, hang on a minute, this is who this all is, and this is what it all means, sort of thing. To start off with, I just thought it's like a nice cover, and then when you actually start reading the book, you can look back at the cover and you can pick up on other things that are in there. Whereas you can't really do that with the Convergence thing, not that we know.
Which book had the cover that was just all black and it had the 3 or 4 Jedi standing there in the dark, like they're being surrounded? What book was it?
That was out the show. That was the one where they were surrounded by Nihil.
Well,
yeah.
And the other thing is they had a lot of variant covers. Now they don't have those anymore. Now it's like, the variant book just comes with a poster. Yeah. So like Rising Storm. Yeah, Rising Storm had a bunch of characters on it. You had like 3 or 4. Fallen Star had them with the the cracked starlight beacon behind them, the cracked window behind. So there is characters still standing, but it's just like, it's weird that you have something so amazing as Path of Deceit, and then it's just like, oh, this is a pretty plain cover for the adult novel, I gotta say. Pretty plain.
I do like those little posters that come with it. I'm looking at I have the one with Lena So on it, and then with the 2 Teargons, is that what they're called? And then the other one has the starlight and has all the Jedi around it. So yeah,
somebody out there got the beanie.
Oh, I know. I wish I would have jumped. I didn't even know about that. I would have got that when I
check it. You have to check out Out of Print. Check out Out of Print. They're the ones that do all the special covers like that.
Oh, they have that beanie you get as a free gift when you pre-ordered it. What was that? The last one was that Fallen Star?
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says For Light and For Life on it or something like that. Yeah. That one looked pretty cool. I wish I had that. I would be totally sporting that.
It's probably on eBay for $100 or something.
Probably.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Wearing it. Did you read the book? Nope, I have the beanie.
Got the beanie. That's all I needed. That's all I wanted. Right. Okay.
So we are one. We are many.
We should have that as a theme tune, shouldn't we? We probably would have got done for copyright and stuff. Right. Shall we move on to the Bad Batch?
Sure. Now they're talking about High Republic. What a Bad Batch.
Yes.
Did you want me to do news real quick?
Oh, I didn't think we had to. Yes, go for the news.
News.
What do you have now?
Yeah, so this is just, I mean, there was a really big news thing, but to me it wasn't news. You know how I guess they replaced Bob with other Bob as running Disney. To me, that's, I don't know, it's news, but to me that really doesn't matter. I don't know. I'm sure people can look into it a whole bunch, but honestly, I don't want to get into a big, huge discussion on what one giant old white CEO is going to do and has the exact same name. I don't know, whatever. Just keep making Star Wars. Like, I don't know. So that's news, I guess, but to me it wasn't big enough to bring up. So the main stuff is kind of just announcements and upcomings, so you can keep track of the stuff coming out between episodes. They did make official announcement for the next season of The Mandalorian. That is March 1st. That is official. Like I said, I don't like to deal with rumor stuff. So the official, well, again, it can move. So it's official for right now. They've moved it several times. I think it was originally scheduled to come out in January. So push it back. That's fine. If it's making the series better, no complaints from me. We'll get it eventually.
There's like been so much stuff out. I'm still trying to catch up on books. Like I can wait till March.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, get between the phases. Go between the novel phase and then jump over to that. So the official so far release for Mandalorian is March 1st. The video game, which I think Ricky might be the other one that played it. The next Jedi game is Jedi Survivor, coming out March 17th.
Fingers crossed, not that many spiders as the first game.
Were the spiders tough or something? I feel like
that's all there was. You're fighting insects the whole game, like pretty much Fallen Order. But I mean, I love the game. It was fun. But like, yeah, it had a lot of creatures you had to fight. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the second one. I just watched the trailer last night.
Yeah, so it looks good. I mean, he has a crossguard saber, and immediately I'm like, oh, that's High Republic. So, I mean, not High Republic specific, but I guess it's Kylo too. Kylo kind of really brought cross sabers to the forefront. So then the other thing is, as we'll see when we discuss Bad Batch, is that they are releasing season 2 January 4th. Like, I love drops like that, where it's like you'll see it in less than a month, rather than here's a trailer, we'll see you next year. It's like, dang.
So it's pretty much
I love
when
they
Bad
drop
Batch is
stuff.
over, Mando's gonna start, right?
Yes.
It's gonna lead up.
I
to
don't
that.
know. Oh, what is it? It was, yeah, we had all the episode names. What was it, like 12 episodes?
16.
Bad Batch, yeah. 16?
16, okay.
Bad Batch, yeah.
And they're releasing
been
two
so-
in the first. There's 2
We will-
episodes in the first week.
It's been so
We will
long
have
since
a
it's
few
been on.
weeks.
It's crazy.
But a few weeks of both. So I'm assuming they'd be on different days.
Mm.
No, would they?
Yeah, I don't think they worry too much about animated stuff. They'll just dump
No.
all that. But so the Bad Batch will be episodic. One episode per week. But like I said, I love when they just say, "Surprise! You will see in a month." You're like, yes. We always anticipate these huge Marvel and Star Wars movies for like a year, and all these discussions pop up over literally nothing, because people are just excited. So when it's a month out, excitement can stay, and then you can just start watching rather than it eventually dying.
Yes.
Some of the up and coming books over the next month is the High Republic Adventures comic by IDW. That started November 30th, so a lot of people maybe already got their copy and started reading it. I'm sure we hopefully may discuss that in a little bit down the road. The next one is another Dark Horse comic, the High Republic Adventures, The Nameless Terror. So that's definitely going to discuss something about the Nameless. That comes out December 28th. And then also December 28th, so far scheduled, is the High Republic series starting High Republic The Blade, which is, as we know, the Blade of Bardota, the man, Porter Engle from High Republic. So a lot of good High Republic stuff coming out. Obviously, this is like High Republic era right now. So that's kind of up stuff.
So say, when's the next book?
The next book is Path of Vengeance. They pushed that. So now April 4th is now. Yeah, April. They're taking, I guess, a little jump. It won't be from month
These
to month.
titles are confusing me. Path of Vengeance. They're gonna have
I
like
tell you, it is a nightmare.
Shadow of Deceit. Like it's gonna be like the next one.
Path of Vengeance is May 4th. That's the adult book. Excuse me, May 2nd is the adult book. So Wave 2, Phase 2.
That's a long
But the
time
next-
away.
Yeah, well, I mean, April 4th has the 2 adult and middle grade books, Quest for Planet X, Quest for Planet X. Yeah, that's the middle grade. And the next young adult is High Republic Cataclysm, which they've already released the cover for that, and it's another beautiful cover using the blues and space and stuff like that. Cataclysm is the adult book. Path of Vengeance, is the young adult book. So Path of Vengeance comes out finally after. So the young adult, middle grade. So it's almost back to the normal release schedule. So Cataclysm is the next adult one on April 4th. So, but yeah, that is kind of weird. They have this big jump, but I guess they have all sorts of stuff coming out between then. It's not like we don't have a lot of stuff to fill us up anyway. With Bad Batch and Mandalorian, like we're good. Plates every month is still full, man. That is for sure.
So plenty of, I don't have to rush to finish Convergence. It's not that it's something else come right out, and then there's plenty of time to catch up on the comics before the next books.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I think they want to close out kind of each phase. So I don't know what they're going to do as far as the time in there. But I do know the comic's only like 8 issues. So it's only going to have like 2 arcs. I know the Dark Horse comic, the main Adventures comic, is 8 issues so far as all they've announced. So that looks like maybe it. This is just a short phase, just to kind of give a backstory, which is good. They don't need a huge story for the backstory. Give us the teasers that we need, and let's prepare for the third and final phase, which will be mind-blowing, I'm sure.
So for anyone that's like, oh, there's no Star Wars right now, like, yeah, there's there's tons.
It's
yeah.
Get to your comic book shop.
It's kind of
first.
nice that because these books came out almost monthly. Every month for like phase 1 was like a book. Every month and a half or 2 months, it was crazy. So we're definitely getting a little jump. So it's going to be nice that the comics fill in the backstory. And that's the big thing. These comics are going to tell a ton of stories. There's a lot of one-shots. Porter Engle is a fan favorite. So, there are a lot of good
I wasn't
stuff
even
here.
planning on like even getting into this phase of the comics, but you guys keep talking about it. I might just end up having to catch up and read, because that's what I ended up doing last time. I didn't even plan on reading the comics for the first phase, whatever. And so then I ended up just like binging them before I finished the last book because I wanted to see what happened. Plus, it had all the tie-ins with who's the pink alien and
the Marielana girl, like Zine.
Yeah, it had their whole backstory and stuff. So I'm like, I had to catch up to read those to the book. So yeah, I might have to do that again this time.
The connectivity of the High Republic is more connectivity than we've ever seen in Star Wars. Like none of the books have never, even all the Legends, all the post Return of the Jedi books, nothing was this connected. And the way
the Blade of Bardata one is that taking place during the current timeline, like where the books are right now?
Yes.
Or is it, so he's that old?
Yeah.
Right? Because isn't it like 200 years?
That's the funny thing about, this is 150 years before phase 1. So it's funny that I see all these super old aliens that are like 200, 300, 400, 900 years. And then you have humans that are like 80 years. And it's like, man, like how do we accomplish anything when other species live 10 times our lifespan? So I always find that really funny.
Well, yeah, but true. But I mean, what have humpback whales accomplished? And tortoises. Just putting that out there.
And I guess
you leave
humans
the tortoises alone, Steve.
Yeah, they just spread super fast and like take over the galaxy. So, but yeah, and then all the tie-ins with comics not related. Like I said, I don't remember if it was on this is on the call, where the Star Wars in the books tying in with High Republic era and the disasters and all that stuff. Any drop of the High Republic, I'm like, oh man, the storytelling is great that they connect to each other so much. Like, hey, can I tell a story about this character in the High Republic? And they're like, yeah, man, it's 250 years ago. Go ahead and mention what you want. We'll decide what happens to the characters. And I love it. The cohesiveness of the High Republic is seriously bar none of any story, including Marvel, that I've ever seen, and it's fantastic.
Right, let's move along again.
I've also been playing X-Wing, Steven. I forgot to mention that.
What?
That was the X-Wing game. I've been playing that. I had a
that
list,
old or
and then
new?
I lost my list. No, the one that you got me into.
Oh, the board game. Okay, I thought you were talking about video game.
Yeah, no, I had forgot to mention that I was doing that this month.
How many ships do you have now?
I haven't bought anything else. So I got the Falcon now, and which I haven't played with yet. But and then I have that ghost ship. But yeah, cool game. Too much Star Wars stuff in my playroom now.
Yeah, more to be discussed on maybe a future board gaming episode.
Yeah, we need to do a part 2.
Right,
I might play some Star Wars Clue today. So.
Bad Batch time.
Bad Batch. Omega.
Quick volume check.
Get our Omega 5s in.
Oh, I had to choose which spot. Go! Do you hear that?
Get to the chopper! Yeah.
Okay. Let's press play and listen in to the...
Looks like the island from Fortnite.
It's lost.
Oh my god.
It's not one.
Go! We went over the plan 5 times. I got the package, didn't I? We need a pickup. Hang on. Grab the light.
So, this is the top team. The rogue clones on the run from the Empire, huh?
Hello.
How juicy.
The Empire's growing stronger. We should be doing more.
You want to really be free? Then pull off this heist, and you can have a future.
Rumors are more and more clones have been questioning the Order.
Then they're traitors, like the Jedi.
You all gave up everything because of me.
We made the right choice, Omega. But there are others out there who need our help.
What sort of treachery is this?
Stay back!
We are not the enemy. The Empire seeks to establish peace and order throughout the galaxy.
Peace. Peace was never an option.
We're soldiers. We do what needs to be done.
You know what makes us different? We make our own choices. What do you need, Rex? Any chance I could use you for a mission?
Parents, The Bad Batch. New season streaming January 4th. Only on Disney+.
Nice.
What is it? Does it say Parents? The Bad Batch?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, I noticed that the second time round. I was like, oh, it says Parents. Yes.
What's it say, Parents?
It says Parents, The Bad Batch streaming.
Yeah, one of the Bad Batch and say Parents. Parents.
Oh, I guess kids don't watch YouTube. They watch Instagram, I guess. I don't know.
They make the YouTubes.
So there's a lot
what am I-
as I said, there's a lot to look forward to. I posted in the group, we've got Cody, we've got Rex, we've got Bale, we've got Palps, we've got I keep forgetting the name of the Jedi, the rookie Jedi.
Gungi.
Gungi.
Gungi. I
We
just looked it
assume
up.
it's Gungi, yeah.
Yeah, assume.
I didn't notice if he had his wooden lightsaber. I gotta look at that again.
You know it's him if he has that one tooth sticking out. So I don't know. I didn't notice it in the scene. If he has that one tooth, then it's Gungi. So, but yeah,
Unless
that's
he's been to
certainly.
dentist. Unless he's been to the dentist since.
Nah. He's been in hiding. You don't got time for that.
Ah, good one.
So I gotta say, it's like I'm excited for this because they gave it kind of the idea, much like I was excited for Andor. I'm excited to see how oppressive the government is, and it seems like it's getting it because it has the big sprawling scenes of the Senate. It has like Padawan. It has Palpatine gaining control of things. It has people running in fear and starting to realize that things are bad. So you have all these small thoughts that like I think the Empire is not doing the right thing, but then you have the big like macro scene for the entire galaxy, and they think everything's all right because they just watch they watch Senator Palpatine News Network, and they think everything's all right. And oh yeah, I'm sure the Senate was dissolved for a good reason, and all this other misinformation. It's misinformation war is what it is. And that's what I love to see is how the galaxy is truly changing. And people always say, well, these movies need to show what's going on with the galaxy. And I was like, do you want another movie about trade routes and taxation? Because I'm sure a lot of other people don't. But like Andor and now Bad Batch is exploring really what the galaxy is up to. And it's so nice to see the deeper thoughts and the individual points of view instead of from the A team, or I should say S tier level of heroes now and how everything goes. So that's what I'm excited for. Is just the big story of how the galaxy is changing.
Well, and the cool thing with this show, because the timeline, like it's immediately after Order 66, so you do still have like tons of Jedi running around, but not everybody makes it, and we know from Kenobi that they had like kind of like a pathway for them to kind of escape and move on. But yeah, that's the thing I liked about the Republic comics, the Dark Horse ones, because after the episode 3, Order 66 stuff happened, you just had like you were following a couple Jedi that were on the run and trying to blend in and all that stuff. So I always thought that was kind of same thing with like Fallen Order, So it's always cool to see that they brought that Wookiee Jedi back, and I'm sure there'll be a couple more that they run into. And who knows? They might tie in some Kenobi show stuff, and have some Inquisitors.
I wonder if any Inquisitors will be in there. I mean, if they're hunting Jedi, I mean, they'll probably avoid it. They might
Reva would still be a kid, right? During this time.
Yeah, Reva would still be a kid. So, but I mean, like the Grand Inquisitor was brought out, I think, right after Vader got his lightsaber. So it might be a little bit of time, I guess. Who knows where this falls? It could be a year. It could be 6 months. It could be 10 days. So.
Yeah. It looks great. Like, I mean, the first season looked great too, but this one looks like they stepped it up again. So
yeah, and in the short format, I think you said, what was it, 16 episodes, Steven?
Yeah.
Yeah, the short format allows you to kind of keep it on track. So they give you kind of a lot of background, kind of like they did with what was it? They had the Rancor in the first one. They're still teasing you with stuff that tie into later. All this other future Star Wars stories that we all know about, that people can dig into and get a lot of episodic breakdowns. Pretty much, there's lots of Easter eggs in all these and how they could tie into other things. So
I'm gonna have to rewatch season 1 again.
Yeah, I really need to also.
The only thing we didn't see.
I might have to stop watching.
Yeah, we didn't see that trailer was anything about cloning and Nana Sue, what she was called.
Well, they destroyed the facility.
Yeah, they destroyed the facility, but she got kidnapped, kind of, didn't she? And she was forced off to do some cloning and stuff.
Well, isn't that where Cody's at? They have that fortress, right? When he was training the clones or training the troopers.
I don't remember. Yeah, obviously they're starting to question, like, maybe this isn't the best, and that's really humanizing the clones. They're not just cannon fodder, like mindless zombie cannon fodder. It's like, well, no, they kind of do have they were forced to make this decision against the Jedis, but now some time has passed, and it's like, well, maybe this isn't the best decision, and then that's when whoever the sniper is, what's the sniper's name?
Hunter.
Bullseye? I don't know.
Hunter?
No.
Crosshair.
Crosshair. Yeah. It's tattooed on his face. So yeah, where Crosshair is still firmly like, well, you're a traitor then. So because he's fully behind it.
Yes, well, he's had his chip sort of new battery put in it, isn't he? Sort of. He was sort of reprogrammed, wasn't he?
Well, no, that's the good thing about his character is that he had his chip. It was revealed that he still had his chip removed.
Yes. Yeah.
But he still chose to follow orders. Good troopers follow orders or whatever. So that's to me his big character arc is that he's still choosing to join the side of the Empire. So it gives gives choice where a lot of these clones may realize that, hey man, what we're doing is wrong. But then at the same time, like some soldiers, they're like, well, what we're doing is right. And regardless what you tell me, it's right. So that's what I really like about it. It really gives us some characterization that he made his own choice. He wasn't forced to join against them. He chose to join the Empire.
How do they override the chip? I mean, we don't know. The chip was... What did it actually force them to do?
His was disabled their move, wasn't it?
Like, is it only?
I think he just
only
believes
for Order 66, or is it for just complete disciplinary inhibitor? Because they did call.
No, they were cloned to be troopers. Remember that's what they said in Attack of the Clones. They're like, they're programmed to follow orders, pretty much.
Docile,
yeah. But after years of forming, and that's why the Jedi are always given credit because they're like, they formed connections. They didn't just use them as something to throw away. They formed connections with all of them, and it changed regardless if you're cloned or not. It changes who you are, and you value life, type of thing. Kind of like, what is it, the Pong Krell, the big arc where he's just throwing away, and they're like, you can't just toss these things away, man. Like, they're still people, even if we're clones.
They're alive.
Yeah, and they cared about saving each other. So,
well, like even in that show, like before everything happened, you still had clones that were like, oh, are we doing the right thing? Is this, you had that the one that left, that had his family and all that stuff, and then certain episodes they were questioning stuff. So, it's
going out making a family. That's, but and again, 10 years, 20 years after they were cloned. So whenever they were, I don't know how long their gestation period is, but they've been fighting this battle, during Clone Wars for 10 years.
Since they were 6 years old. Well,
longer than that.
Well, they might only be 6
years old.
They're increased. What is it? They age faster, so they could look like a 20-year-old and be 6. They're leap year birthday kids.
But we had this conversation before. Is it just accelerated aging for the first part of their life, and then it slows down? I can't remember. I don't know if we had an answer to it.
Maybe taking the chip out slows down your age process.
It didn't work for Rex.
Well, I thought they were aging out too fast, and that's one of the reasons they wanted to get rid of them, other than the clone, other than the chips, is that they were just aging out too fast. They grew up fast. They stayed in their prime battle. They weren't. That's why Rex looks like he's 60, and realistically, he's only
20.
like what 30. He's 35 or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
Yeah, I suppose it's a question of, do you
19
want
years, 5 years?
Do you want Jack Ryan in your army? Do you want Arnold Schwarzenegger on the front? But it's a bit like
which Jack Ryan?
It's Jack Ryan.
No, which one?
It's Jason Bourne.
It's Jason. which reminds me that starts soon. That's a completely different franchise, though. Yes. Yeah, but I mean, we've got Bale in there doing his usual sneaking around and running around sort of stuff and street stuff.
Bale's just popping up and everything these days.
He does. I mean, we should actually have like that Smack Wrestling thing. We should have like it's Bale. The Bale
Bale.
Oh yeah, he was in there. He kind of popped in.
Yeah.
It's almost like
trying to get the most out of him.
He's
still the perfect age.
Yeah, he gets in everywhere. Obviously Rex
Like
in there
Sam.
as well. I mean, so there's a good chance of. Well, no, Ahsoka. How often did Ahsoka and Rex? They hung around for quite a while after. I think after Order 66. So.
Yeah, when did she?
Yeah, because I'm watching the Rebels episode, and she's like, "Well, I still have this friend. Whatever you do, just please trust him." So she's been in contact with Rex the whole time, so they can add all sorts of adventures between the trilogies if they want to. Because we really have nothing from Revenge of the Sith to Rebels on what happened to Rex and his team.
Yeah, not really. I mean, because they showed Ahsoka on Tales of the Jedi, but she was by herself, and he wasn't even with Bale, was he? Like, no.
No, we don't know. He might well have gone off. I think didn't he go off?
And then like on Rebels, didn't they say they got like kind of put out to pasture and retired? They kind of just let them just wander off, which is kind of weird. You would think the Empire would.
Yeah, that's weird for the Empire.
Get rid of them.
I think they drag them into the dirt.
I would wonder whether yes. Seems suspicious, but maybe I got a feeling he went off looking for sort of lost clones, sort of thing. Clones who just lost their way or that kind of stuff. But maybe, I don't know. Well, he found Gregor and Wolf, so he must have done a degree of searching after then. Yeah. So there's a lot to look forward to. We haven't got very many weeks until we have to wait.
Like a month from now, we'll be like 2 episodes in.
Yeah, it starts with 2 episodes and ends with 2 episodes.
And we'll still have to cover Andor. So
yes,
the next episode's already booked.
Yes. So whenever we get to that, we will. Have just trying to work at the works of time. Yeah, that's the 4th. January the 4th is the Wednesday, of course.
Okay.
So we definitely have a double Bad Batch and Andor wrap up.
Well, that's crazy. In a month's time, we're gonna have like another show to be discussing Star Wars. That's crazy.
That's description.
Yeah, and
stuff for us. What we demand.
So much content. Yeah. Bring it on.
It is. That's why I love it's. And if you're like a Marvel fan too, Disney is having alternating shows, almost where it's like Star Wars and Marvel. So it's like so much content, and it's just unbelievably lucky we are to be living right now to fully experience this as adult with like never-ending stream of books, comic shows, and it just drives me bonkers when people were like, I don't like a Star Wars movie every year. I'm like, dude, I watch 4 Marvel movies a year, and I smile every single second. Like, if you're gonna release a Star Wars
Guardians
movie every year,
Christmas thing last night. That was great. I just watched that last night.
I want that ringtone so bad. I don't even know how many times I've listened to that Christmas song and the Kevin Bacon song that's in there. It's just it's fun. Yeah, it's just fun, cute Christmas songs, and I try to make it my ringtone, but I cannot find it. So. But yeah, that's it. Even small series like that, and it's if they do that with Star Wars, or if it's a one-off, if they want to tell a one-off 1-hour episode on what Rex doing, I'm gonna watch it. That's the great thing about Star Wars. It's exploring, and the story doesn't end. It can go on. You get new characters, they take over. We can go back thousands of years, talk about. We have a whole Old Republic that's canonized. The word Old Republic is canonized, where it's like they could tell any story they want and just totally restart and have no connection. Or they can tell this small 35-year span, 50-year span of everything that happens, and it's still good.
Well, look at Andor. You can do a whole like series, and it doesn't really affect anything else. It's its own kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's
Things can be self-contained and tell their own story, and then just be slightly connected to some bigger event. That's why I love Rogue One so much. And the books. That's the great thing about the books and the comics. They bring up how truly big of a hero Jyn Erso is. Like, it blew me away how, I think it was before the Battle of Hoth, they were trying to talk each other into it. Like, that's from the first certain point of view books. That's why I love them. They give the background story to characters that don't get screen time. And they're like, Leia came in and was like, Jyn Erso gave everything to help create this rebellion. And it just loved that someone as important as Leia gives shout out to someone like Jyn Erso, and that how big she was to really creating the rebellion. Countless teams, whether it's Solo, he steals money and gives it to a rebellion. That creates a rebellion.
Yeah, but there needs to be more Empty's Nest stuff too. Like, I'm looking forward to if they ever revisit her, and see their rebellion team pop up somewhere,
Yeah.
The story people realize never... all the shows we've gotten, like, Boba Fett's alive now. Like, you can have more Boba Fett stories, like, that are like prequels to the sequel trilogy, and post Mando and stuff. Like, he's still alive, so. And they can tie into Bad Batch. They might mention more about Omega, and Boba, because they're basically siblings. So yeah,
that's my biggest hook with the show. Like, you created this character Omega. What are you gonna do? You have to have plans with this character. Yeah. Like, you got to do something with him. Like Grogu. Like, Grogu can jump ahead if they don't kill the child. We can jump ahead 50 years and have like an old Rey and a Grogu adventure novel series.
Yeah.
Like, it's endless what they could do with these characters, and it's great.
You could basically have live action High Republic Yoda, but it'll be Grogu. Because Yoda's supposed to be younger in High Republic, so like Grogu's going to be about the same age during that. You know what I mean? So that'd be pretty cool to explore that. Like, even have a teenage Grogu, walking around and being a Padawan, and I guess he'd be a bounty hunter because he doesn't want to be a Jedi. But
with a little Mandalorian helmet.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities. I wonder if there's going to be any tie-ins on Bad Batch for any of the stuff that we just watched. Like, are they going to run into Cassian, as a kid on that planet? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't even know how old he is. 40 or something? Yeah, so I wouldn't expect that big of tie-ins. It seems like minor characters they'll tie in with.
Maybe people from other shows. Because, they did have Kanan on the first season, so we got to see that backstory. I don't know, they brought a bunch of people in season 1 Bad Batch. Like, you had Fennec in there, you had, Cad Bane was in there.
Cad Bane, yeah. He was in there too. And that's the great thing. It's like Disney is finally realizing the value of connectivity. So where Legends books kind of did their own thing, and then George Lucas obviously did his own thing. Well, now it's like, listen, let's have the biggest connective story that we can do. And yeah, we have to admit sometimes it doesn't line up. The Kanan story did change. Ahsoka's novel did change, although slightly and not world impacting. It's not like they killed Kanan in the first episode of Bad Batch. It's nothing world shattering. They just changed the time of day, and the internet acts like it's the end of the world. And it's like, it's not that big of a deal.
You can enjoy the Kanan comic and you can enjoy Bad Batch. It's not gonna, you can enjoy the Ahsoka novel and enjoy Tales of the Jedi. It's the same story. It's just different point of view.
Yeah, it's still, the main plot points are still the same. It's just small things like, oh, now he talked to this character instead. So,
okie dokie, folks. Are we going to move along? We have an agenda to sort of.
I keep staring at this Palpatine mask on this chat the whole time we're
Where's
talking.
that?
Oh yeah, whoever left that comment.
He's been staring me in the face like the whole time. We've been talking this whole time. And I can't scroll because no one's chatted. I was just going to type stuff in there just so I can get rid of his ugly mug.
Should we want to have a Path of Deceit conversation? We've all read it. I don't think.
Yeah, we read it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know where everybody else is, and Ron's not going to be reading it. Marie probably. So
I gotta say, with this book, I was like worried about the jump back, that I wasn't going to be interested in it at all. And I think this might be my favorite book of all the High Republic stuff.
Really?
Like Yeah, I really did like it like a lot. The characters were cool and the storyline.
I put it at about third place, I think, with all the books we've had at the moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't rank it that high. I think so. Most of Phase 1 is part of my favorite, but this still was a great, ancillary where they gave all sorts of backstories, and it just makes Phase 1 that much better because now we get to see pretty much how they found the Shriekerai type of thing, and there's going to be more on that, I'm sure. So I have some quick notes. You want me to just go over my
quick notes,
small notes?
Refresh our memories because I can't remember the.
Yeah. So I read my novel this morning of notes, and I tried to reduce it to the small as I could. So, and then of course spoilers ahead. I highly recommend the High Republic. Yeah, cue the spoiler alert. So, I highly recommend it. It's great. It really gives, to me, it's the High Republic has really been, this is what the Jedi are all about. So it's been great. So the Path of Deceit, so now we're in Phase 2, Wave 1, takes place 150 years before Phase 1. The Path of the Open Hand is kind of a religious sect, and they settled on Dalna 100 years prior. So, and remember, Dalna was a big exploration for the final middle grade book with Vernestra. I believe she was on Dalna, right? The planet with like the lava. So it's interesting to see all that. And now we're back on Dalna again, and they're talking about how young the planet is. So Path of the Open Hand is pretty much a religious sect. They start on Dalna. The group steals, even though they're like, oh, we just go and we spread the word of the Force. And remember, their religious ideals are pretty much opposite of the Jedi's. It's don't use the Force. Trust in the Force.
It's not
It'll
yours
let
to
it guide
use,
you. Yeah, exactly. It's not yours to use. And I'll touch on more of that later. The conversation that they have a little bit was really interesting.
And they hand people flowers.
Yeah. To be, they pretty much hand out stuff and they get money type of thing. And they spread their word, but then they also steal very powerful light side, force sensitive objects. And this time they're going, and this was eye opening. Like I had to read these first couple chapters multiple times because I was just shocked about the amount of information they gave. But there's the mother, which is Alicia. She's being funded from an outside source, which their name was Ragnar Pullup. Who knows if that character will appear later. And she is building the Gaze Electric, which, as we all know, is the main ship that Mark Yanro uses in Phase 1. So the ship was built 150 years prior. And for me to drive a car that's 150 years old, it'd pretty much be riding a horse. So that's the funny thing about Star Wars technology. 150 years ago, it's still relatively the same. And the Gaze Electric now is like a huge threatening vehicle, and now they're like building it as like this big peace ship. So we get to see yeah, exactly. So we get to see the backstory of the Gaze Electric. So the main arc that seems to be about Phase 2 is that the Path of the Open Hand, specifically the mother, she's stealing artifacts that are called the Rod of Ages, the Rod of Seasons, and the Rod of Daybreak. And we all know that as the Leveler. Maybe not the Leveler, it's the Leveler. That's the other thing that I realized that I've seen in discussion. The Leveler is actually one of the Nameless, but the Rod of Seasons or whatever is what controls them. So
that's right.
Yeah, because I always thought the Leveler was the tool, that they used, but the Leveler is what they unlocked, which is the leader almost of the Nameless. It got very confusing there for a while.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Rod. We all notice the Rod. It has a big purple jewel on top that we come to see controls all the Shriekerai during Phase 1 of the High Republic. So
are
we got
the
to see that
Shriekerai the Nameless, right?
Yeah, they're definitely the Nameless.
So they're not nameless. They're the Shriekerai.
I guess, yeah. It's the things that they whisper. It's some people know. Maybe this is where they get the Nameless now. Yeah, maybe now is where they call them the Nameless, but the nursery rhyme and the planet or whatever, they whisper Shriekerai. So they get the Rod of Seasons, which seems to be the story around Phase 2 right now because they've already got one of the rods. I believe they get the Rod of Seasons, and the last rod is expected to be on Jeddah. So now we get this Jeddah back when it was actually a temple, great Rogue One flashback. Again, the amazingness of the tie-ins to Star Wars. So, and that's what I think the comic's going to focus on, is they're going to be going to Jeddah, getting the other rod.
Do we know what
we
the
have
other rods
Sunshine
do?
Dogs. I think they all combine and do something. Obviously, they do something bigger because they only have the Rod of Seasons is what they use to control what is soon to be pretty much a pet Sri Karai that they get by the end of the book, which comes from a strange purple jewel that we now realize is an egg of the Sri Karai, which Sunshine Dobbs, who is a hyperspace prospector who explores the galaxy, and he finds a very mysterious planet behind a quote maelstrom, so which we know it as from the Eye of the Storm comics. So the tie-ins back and forth to this was staggering, the way it went all over the place. Moving on in the story, Marta Rowe is just a part of the Path of the Open Hand, as we know, ancient relative to Markion, and she has a cousin. I don't think they use the last name Rowe, but they're another Everini species. They have Yana. So they talk about a dagger that can rob someone of the Force. That's just randomly brought up in the book. So, this is the things that I kind of write down. Just like whatever they mentioned in a blurb, I'm like, well, I better write that down in case that name comes up again. So I don't think it was the Sith dagger from Rise of Skywalker, because I don't feel like it
got forged, right? In that
no,
book.
they just handed it to Orange Face, and then it got this to Ochi. They just handed it to Ochi. So, but I don't think it robs people of life. So that's where I kind of wonder if it is the same. It's just literally
Wouldn't any weapon rob you of life?
Well, this one like steals it. He can survive a knife wound.
Hey, so the Everini, that's what her species was, right? Is that what Marchion is?
Yeah, he's still an Everini. Gray skin,
they're blue,
usually
right?
starry face.
Gray or okay.
Yeah, right. Blue-gray, yeah.
And they're the ones that like people were kind of like treating them differently because they basically treat them like they were monsters, right?
Yeah, because
like
in the Eye of the Storm.
Outcast. No, in this book, right?
Oh, in this book, yeah, nobody trusts them because decades or centuries ago, they pretty much tried taking over they're a very ruthless planet of people type of thing, just because of the way they survived, which is covered in Eye of the Storm. Yeah, great recommendation.
So everyone's basically being prejudiced against their species because they don't trust them for history.
Yeah, and they have like sharp teeth, which I always thought was funny. How she like when they get mad, they bare their teeth, and they're like, "Oops, sorry," type of thing. So very interesting species.
Yeah, she would try to not show her teeth when she was out trying to get more members.
Recognize her. So, but that little blurb was like, oh yeah, we're just going to mention that somebody has a dagger that can suck the life out of you. And if you read Shadows of the Sith, that thing draws life force out of people. So it doesn't, that's where the wording can kind of be messed up, where it's like the dagger says to steal the Force, but the Sith dagger that Ochi has and from Shadows of the Sith, they literally steal your life and make you stronger. So it could be a different dagger. This might be kind of reaching out in my weird, like, crazy, not really expectation, but whatever it is, I guess what it may be. Is this a tie-in?
It was the mask that killed, from going back to Shadow Sith, the one that was the main antagonist in that book. Because they said she had died, right? But then she was still walking around. Because the mask called
kept her alive.
Yeah.
Pretty much. She was still
something
alive.
Like that.
She should have been dead.
Interesting. I'm sure
stealing artifacts. Yeah. Marta Rowe, they talk about a dagger. So what do you guys think about I guess the path and what they stood for?
So I'm assuming they're basically denial, right? Like this is like the beginning of how
and the other things, if you remember, I don't know if you recognize the name in the book. I know I brought it in our conversation, but they used a tiny child named Tromac was there hiding with the path, learning their ways. And in the High Republic Adventures comics, again, it's mentioned in one word bubble that, I was around back when the path started, so it kind of me. And
he was the guy that was in charge of that town where what's her name came from and the boy, right?
Yeah,
like
Zine.
Mayor. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the elder.
Yeah, the Elder.
He was
So,
one of
and
the
I
elders.
think he's the one I'm pretty sure he's the one that goes with Yoda
Yeah.
off when he disappears. So Tromac I'm happy to see his backstory. Again, another super old species. This dude's 100. He's a baby here, but he's now 150 years old in the other phases. So I shouldn't say a baby. He's a child. So, but anyway, the path. One of the things that I loved about this book is that the discussion of what the Force was.
Yeah.
That this series in phase 2 is looking at is that people have different views of the Force. So now you have the path of the open hand. They think it's, like you said, blasphemous to use it. Because the specific word that they use is that it causes it causes ripples in the Force that can affect someone on another planet. And it's funny to see the Jedi Master, Zarla, something like that, is the master in this book. And she pretty much says, oh, they're just religious zealots. Don't even listen to them. Talking to their Padawan, Kevmo. So.
Yeah, because they think like if you use the Force to like save one person, then the Force is going to try to balance itself out and then kill other people. So they basically, by using the Force, you're murdering people, unknowingly, because it's cause and effect. So if you Force push this, then something else is going to happen somewhere else and have a negative effect. So you just don't touch it. You're not allowed to do anything because you're not God, basically.
Yeah, so from the Jedi's point of view, obviously they're crazy and wrong, and from their point of view, the Jedi are evil type of thing. I mean, we all know that the Jedi are right, so, but still, it's interesting to see these bigger conversations on how people perceive the Force differently.
Well, it's just funny because they're so skewed, and their whole thing is like, oh well, it's going to cause harm if you use the Force, when they're literally going out and causing harm to people, without using the Force. Yeah. Like, how was that any better?
Force artifacts, so we better steal it.
Yeah, they don't want the Force artifacts to end up with somebody that'll use the Force with them, because in their eyes, they're saving the galaxy, but we kind of know that they're not really. They don't really know why they're grabbing all that stuff.
Well, but I guess I might as well touch on it before we finish the book. But the mother, Alicia, she's apparently has Force visions, or she claims to have visions of some sort. But they keep teasing about this mysterious benefactor that keeps giving them money.
Yeah.
And I hate doing this, but I'm like, I wonder if it's like someone involved with the Sith that's trying to screw up the galaxy. And again, that's one of those things where it's like, Snoke is actually Plagueis. I don't like going crazy like that, and I'm trying to keep like my expectation and my theories low. But man, I love to see that. I'd love to know what the Sith could be doing, and they're maybe possibly nudging all this stuff, towards screwing up the galaxy more. But yeah, she has a mysterious benefactor that keeps donating her money for ulterior motives. So someone has an ulterior motive to do something.
I feel like they mentioned their name, didn't they? No?
Yeah, it was a Ragnar Pullip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they literally said that in the book. So who knows who it is? Obviously, even Plagueis used different names, so it could be anything. My hope is that it is. I'd love to see any nudge or mention of the Sith. Like, all this huge battle happens. Markian Ro's awesome. I love Markian Ro, but then to kind of see like, excuse me, that the Sith are kind of nudging the battle this way while staying in the shadows. I'm like, oh, that would be great if there's just little mentions like that. I'm sure we'll learn more about Ragnar, in the future books, the next young adult book.
What's the guy from Andor, Uncle? It was him.
Marie's the name person. I'm terrible with names. I can't remember him now. So let's see, kind of skipping around on the book. We now, they mention they go and steal something. They steal, I think, the Rod of Ages from this complex. And on the crate, again, this is just a small mention thing. It's mentioned the crate is labeled from the ruins of Moraband, which is one of the original Sith homeworlds. So again, it's another tie-in of Korriban, another tie-in to like the history of Star Wars and the history of the Sith, and just a small mention like that.
Ooh,
like,
you know what? That makes a lot of sense now. Okay, so it was from Moraband. Okay. You gotta continue watching Rebels.
Is that the World?
No,
Is
no,
that
it's
on?
something else.
Or is it-
You'll see it when you see it.
Oh,
But yeah, it has to do with all this stuff. But yeah, it's
yeah.
just crazy. But yeah. So like okay, so that complex was that like it wasn't the Santecas, it was the other group, right? From
Graphs. I think they got the Rod of Ages. I think
the
is for
Graphs.
something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
The
Which I like
Graphs.
that they had that
You know, the
tie-in from the other
necklace.
book. Yeah, with those families that are prospecting. It's the Graphs that the rich people and I like that they had that tie-in. And yeah,
And the
they're like super
Santecas.
securityed out. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that, and it was revealed earlier in the book that Sunshine Dobbs, the person who works for the mother, who's a prospector, he's going against the Santecas. So any mention of the Santecas, I love because of the Force Awakens. So
Yeah.
and he straight up kills the guy because they all have their own hidden paths, their own hidden hyperspace lanes that they sell to the highest bidders, and then they have other hyperspace lanes that they give to the to the I shouldn't say empire that they give to the republic type of things. So they create
during
these paths, the rich ways for everyone else.
So during this time, the Santecas are still prospecting, right? Or they're just starting to? Like, is the clairvoyant daughter around during this time, or is this before? Like, how old is
That's
that?
been a big discussion because in the book and in the comic, in the book, I should start with the comic. In the comic, The Eye of the Storm, it takes place 20 years before Light of the Jedi, and it is mentioned in the comic that she is already 100 years old. So by the time Light of the Jedi rolls around, she's 120. So, but they've used a really broad term that like they didn't say, oh, but she just turned 100. They said she's at least a century old 20 years ago. So to me, I'm hoping to see her, even though she may only be like 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever. Again, she might be too old, but we're seeing all sorts of characters that are super old.
Like, wasn't it a thing in the other book, in one of the other books, where yeah, they were competing against the Graphs, prospecting, whatever, but then suddenly the Santecas like pulled ahead, right? Because it probably was because she was born or started using her powers for them to find a path. I'm assuming. Yeah. So it looks like right now during this book, she's not really around then, I guess, because they're still competing back and forth. Oh, and you got the Arona and Aram war going on too, right? That's always been mentioned
that's been
in phase 1.
Yeah, it was a huge tease in phase 1. They mentioned it so many times. So for that to be the focus for phase 2, it's like, oh, that's interesting. So I do enjoy the Graph and the Santeca, exploration, Lewis and Clark type exploration. So I think they're really good.
I like that little team they had put together to go infiltrate that compound.
With Yana and Yana's girlfriend, and then like this other boy that liked the girlfriend. Like, it was a good team. A lot of good characters. I can't remember.
All went wrong. All went a bit wrong. Yes.
So and then they
like,
go.
oh no, they killed this one. Oh no, this happened. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just what. I don't know if not Marta, but if the mother was lying when she said, "Oh, I need you to go to the Graphs and steal." It's called the Necklace of Jedi Tears. But she says it's used to help power the rod. But the thing is, they failed their mission. They weren't able to steal it. So I just kind of wonder if the mother was lying, because obviously Sunshine Dobbs says, you were sent here to die. It was done. The mother was done with you. So I question if that's actually a real thing that they need, or if it's just, oh, we just need you to do one more task before you retire from the path. And it's like, oh, you're all dead. And then they're attacked by giant whales from under the ice. So
under the ice.
Yeah, remember they're trying to run and they like burst up through the ice and they
kind of remind me of Mando, the first episode, those things that lived under the ice. I kind of assumed it was like that. Remember, they could park their ship.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was a big battle. Then they also mentioned I enjoy the history stuff the most. They also mentioned that the person who really started Path of the Open Hand, he was originally from the Guardians of the Wills. And he disagreed with the Guardians of the Wills, and he went and started the Path of the Open Hand. And their name was Sakar, or it's like Sachar, so Sakar. And I may have spelled the last name wrong because my phone autocorrects a lot, and I don't realize it autocorrects. But the last name might be Rowe. Their last name might be R-O, but I wrote it down as R-O-L-D. So I don't know if my phone autocorrected Rowe to Rolled, or if the person's name is actually Sakar Rolled. So I don't know. It's again, I just write down random names that might pop up again. But yeah, I found it interesting that they're from the Guardians of the Wills, and I really don't know a lot about the Guardians of the Wills. Like,
would it be a row though? Because Marta's the row, and they're kind of like not. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
again,
really
I
affiliated.
didn't go back. I read it through ebook in the library, and I didn't want to re-rent it. Flip over to an exact page and then write it down and then return the book. So I'm just like, forget it. So, but yeah, it's regardless, they're from the Guardians of the Wills, and they had a disagreement and separate it, and he created Path of the Open Hand, which ultimately leads to the Nile. So I don't know what you guys know about the Guardians. I really didn't look it up before the call. So
not very much.
Just Chirrut and Baze.
Yeah, there's their book, and there was a novel, wasn't there, about them and their pre-story, wasn't there? At one point.
Oh yeah, I did read that.
I never read it.
They weren't. Yeah, I read it. It was all right. It was just, it really didn't give as much backstory as I wanted. It was just, here's an adventure about them saving kids. And I'm like, well, you really didn't give me anything new here.
Oh right. No. Apart from that, no. We've had bits and bobs here and there, but that was the only thing I can think of that which has actually been story. But I thought it was, but obviously I hadn't read it, so I didn't know. It didn't really do that much. Didn't really say that much about them.
Yeah.
They get mentioned.
Yeah, I just find it interesting that they're another. And again, I don't know if it might have been Jeddah, because obviously Jeddah was the Guardians of the Wills, so they separate and they create their own Path of the Open Hand type of thing. So I find that interesting. And then of course it's mentioned that again, hey, guess what? Transdoshans regrow arms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think after the battle, someone got hurt, and what is it? Zala is the Jedi Master, and Kevmo is the Padawan. And after their complex is flooded by a crazy storm, because it's Dalna, they have all sorts of crazy storms, and their complex is flooded, and it's like, and they walk by, and it's like, I'm glad to see this Transdoshans regrowing their arms. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this like, this has to be a running gag now.
Every book has got to have a Transdoshan gag in it.
Yeah, so I thought that was a good. Again, I guess it's just a running gag now.
I think they're listening to our podcast.
Yeah, Bad Batch better do it too, because I did see a Transdoshan with a flamethrower, and obviously Wanda Sykes or whatever in there also. So we have to see it on screen. So yeah, I think the thing that kind of changes Marta Rowe is she hates the Force being used, but when it's used to save her own people, when the complex floods, Kevmo goes down there and saves a bunch of people with the Force, almost dying, which again, this is like the Jedi sacrificing themselves for people that hate them. She's like, maybe the Jedi aren't so bad type of thing. So I thought that was just, interesting action scene. But then they talk about, I guess I was kind of bummed that they skipped over it, but I understand you got to leave some things mysterious, but attachment for the Jedi, because Padawan Kevmo kisses Marta Rowe, and now he's having all these feelings. And again, it's a young adult book, so it's teenagers and angst and trying to understand where they stand in life. That's why the young adult books are so good. But yeah, I thought it was really funny how his master was like, listen, we need to talk about attachment, because she knew what happened. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I need to talk to a couple of the Jedi from the other books.
The old first love didn't go too well there either.
Yeah. So I didn't know if it was like a horn honk in there, like.
No, it's just my phone buzzing. It's okay.
Oh, you're in a buggy.
It was right by the mic. It was like honk honk. Like that was the joke. Like kind of like a rim job for drums. Honk honk. So you're gonna have to keep that for whenever you drop a joke, Steven. You're just gonna be honk honk. Gosh. So, but I did enjoy that, because there's always the conversations with. I always argue with people online that it's like, the Jedi are to blame because they can't have attachments, and that's why Anakin turned. I'm like, no, Anakin turned because Palpatine influenced him. Attachments isn't the problem. They've been doing this for thousands of years, and just because they can't have a girlfriend and own all the stuff doesn't mean that they're wrong. It's they have.
And that's what I want to see going forward. Like if they do make anything post the sequel trilogy, to see the Order rebuilt, but I want to see it rebuilt without those weird rules. Like, well, how would it be if there was a Jedi that was married and had a family? How would they do things differently? Would it affect
They
them? Would it not?
definitely
I
have
think
to.
that's really interesting.
They'd have to focus on the way they train people differently, because I get why the Jedi have that rule. You're on the cusp of the greatest power in the galaxy, and if your kid is bullied, you get anger. Get angry and you go and get revenge, because let's admit, like, Jedi are stronger than most people and they have to keep their powers in check. Otherwise, they just say, "Listen, I'm stronger. Why wouldn't I go beat up somebody? Why wouldn't I take advantage?" And that leads, okay, well, now I beat up this guy. Now I need more power, and it leads to the dark side. So I
Well, see,
understand
and
the
then
prequel
that's kind of
of
like
thought.
the whole martial arts kind of discipline, kind of like Ip Man. Like he was super powerful. I know you just watched that movie,
Yeah.
but he didn't like to fight. He used to. That's his last resort kind of thing. So I would assume if to be a Jedi, you'd have to have that same discipline. Where like, yeah, I have all these capabilities, but I'm not gonna choose that and succumb to my anger because that's the dark side. I mean, that's total like philosophy right there. So I think it'd be really cool to explore that aspect of where they can have families, they can have attachments, but maybe it would backfire again, and then the rule will have to be re-implemented in the future. But yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like hundreds of years into the future. That's the weird thing
Oh,
about
yeah.
Return of the Jedi. It's like there really isn't much left after Return of the Jedi or the sequel trilogy. It's like you've eliminated all the Sith and Jedi. Yeah, you can kind of even in Legends. Yeah, they restarted it, and even Luke had some students turn to the dark side in Legends. Also, Luke was possessed. He joined Palpatine for a couple comic issues. Like all this stuff happens, but the real meat and potatoes is in the Old Republic, where you can explore the history. You have an endless supply of villains rather than, oh, we got to invent this. Oh, there's a hidden Sith that we didn't tell you about, and they have an ancient mask, and now they're bad. So it's easy to write something in Old Republic because you have a pre-established amount of villains. But back to Path of Deceit. So yeah, I did enjoy the discussion with what attachment means, because I get it. You can't have a family, because if your family's killed, you're gonna get angry and you're gonna turn evil and you're gonna fall from the light side. So I did kind of like that small conversation. And he's like, "Listen, I'm sorry I kissed you. I can't really have attachments, but we can still be friends." So there's different levels of attachments, type of thing. Like if someone hurts your dog, you'll probably go crazy and try to kill somebody. But if you just have something like a friend, and you're like, "Oh, I'm sad my friend was lost, and I have to go kind of correct this," type of thing, rather than fully turning to anger. So I always love more deeper discussion on what it means to be a Jedi.
Mhm. With great
And
power
then, like
comes
we
great
mentioned
responsibility.
earlier, the Shri Karai apparently come from purple stones. So that was a big surprise in the book, because she kept carrying the purple jewel around, and it
So
really doesn't
did
explain
you
how.
was that obvious to you? Because it was glaringly obvious to me, like in the first chapter. Like that's where it was. Like as soon as she got that thing, like I knew it was an egg. Like were you surprised or was?
I was, yeah.
It was a surprise to me. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Because they said she kept like caressing it and holding it, and I'm like, well, she's incubating it. I was thinking the whole book.
I just thought she's a bit nuts, but she is. But
Well, they all thought she was.
bit nutty.
Like what?
Well,
Like,
I
why does
thought,
she like that
because
stone so
she
much?
definitely had, and it kept affecting Force users. So I just kind of assumed it had something going. I think it might have crossed my mind once or twice, but I really wasn't committed to any one idea of what it is, because I knew it. A purple stone is on top of the rod that is used to control the Shri Karai. That's in the art. So I just kind of assumed it was like a piece of that, but it might just be like a piece of that to be like, oh yeah, this is where they come from. Obviously, the one she had was as big as a basketball.
And I was super confused in the first chapter when they were talking about I guess they were all looking at eggs, right? And something was gonna hatch, and then they're gonna have that ceremony.
Oh yes. That's what
See,
I
and me when
thought
I started reading it, I was thinking, okay, they're hatching nameless eggs, and then like she kept looking at the babies and stuff. I just assumed listening to it that that's what was going on, but no. What was that? Like, was it just people that were hatching? Were they aliens?
That's
Hatching out of what? I missed it.
The whole beginning, they had that ceremony, the
Yeah.
hatching ceremony, and all that stuff. Like, what was that about?
Oh no, that was just they had a snake species. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah,
see,
that species, they're snake-like. They lay eggs for their young, and it's a big thing because they're born in the path, so it's a big celebration. And remember, like they almost get flooded out, and
Yeah, see,
Kevmo,
by
the
that time I got to
Padawan,
that part, I realized like, oh, those were just people that were in their little convent thing. But in the beginning, when I first started, I assumed they were nameless.
I was going down that path too. Yeah.
Oh, so it's not that you seen that this was coming, that it was an egg. You just assumed everything was nameless. This is the
Yeah, I
nameless.
assumed
This is
everything was nameless. Even though I knew nothing
were
about
one-
the book, I just assumed it was nameless.
Yeah, you were 1 for 1. You got one right, you got one wrong, so you're split. That's good. So, but yes, reveal that the purple. And I hope we have backstory in that, because Sunshine Dobbs says that he found a way to get to this mysterious planet, which is weird because when Markion does it down the road, he loses like half his fleet and he lands on the planet, and like more people die before he's able to get, the Nameless. The Leveler, I guess, is his name. So, but yeah, it's the Purple Stone. So however Dobbs got it, I hope we get more back. Star Wars is backstory after backstory after backstory. So I hope that we get something on that.
So with the
'Cause that was
nameless
cool.
and the Shikurai, like, would it be like a subspecies maybe? Or you think they're, or the leveler? I mean, the leveler and the nameless, like, would they be like a dominant, like an alpha maybe?
Yeah, I think the Leveler is like the alpha. Where I used to think it was the tool, but now people are like, no, that was the Leveler. And I went back and checked my notes, and Markian does refer to the Leveler as
But they both do the same thing, right?
I think the Leveler is the stronger of the ones.
But they turn you into stone and all that stuff.
Yeah, because even in the comic Trail of Shadows, they capture more, because they go to the planet and they capture a bunch of them, and they release them. But the Leveler is like the boss of them, pretty much.
Okay, so this was the other thing too. When they get attacked, they turn to stone, and I assume that they just all crumble, but apparently their lightsabers don't, right?
Yeah, their lightsabers were taken.
But did their clothes also turn to stone? Because I just assumed that they all, like the whole thing from the other books, that they turn into like this cocoonish thing, and all their clothes and everything. This made it seem like their clothes were there and it was covered in dust.
I didn't get that feeling. I mean,
no?
I felt like the whole thing, they just crumbled in front of them. Like, did they say something like, "Oh, and his robes is the only thing that lasted"?
I thought she stood there holding him, and then like his body was changing, but nothing else was. And so she grabbed his lightsaber from his waist, and then the other one, the other sister or the cousin, found it on the floor with the pile. Unless I don't remember right. Maybe
No, because
they both had the lightsabers, right? They took the Masters too.
Marta. Yeah, I can't remember what happened to the Masters. I didn't write that down. I know Marta has a lightsaber, but Yana has the Rod of Seasons. So like Yana controls the Sri Karai, which doesn't make the mother happy, because the mother's like, this is mine. But they didn't. I guess Yana has the rod because she's mad, and then Marta has the lightsaber. So again, it's more Everini, more Rose, gathering weapons to make them stronger, which is exactly what Markion does. Which is what I love. They're like getting all these powerful weapons, and they're pretty much going to take over the path.
Well, and then I like the whole concept of like they're on a benevolent like kind of path, but it goes wrong and they become the villain, kind of thing. Like they are not necessarily evil to begin with, especially Marta. She's so innocent in the beginning of the book, but like you can see where it's going, and it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, they just hate the Force. So, they might be upset by something. Something might set them off in these books where it's like, listen, the Force is terrible. Because they talk about what happened on, they keep talking about, was it the disaster on Dalna? And I think that's what one of the books is going to talk about. So, but yeah, there's something big that the Jedi did that upset like everyone on Dalna.
Yeah, that's why they don't.
And I don't think that. I don't think this was it. It couldn't have been it, because they saved everybody. So again, it's just a lot more tie-ins to the other stories. And let's see, you check to the end of the book. Yeah, so like you said, surprisingly, both main Jedi in this die. When the Sri Karai is released from the egg, they pretty much roam the thing, and it kills both the main characters. And I'm like, oh, that's great, man. Because I've seen, it's nice to have closure on stories where it's like, Otherwise, if the characters survive, it's like, well, where are they now? What are they doing? What is this?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, all these characters you got attached to? Yeah, they're dead. So that's why I enjoy the High Republic. They can pretty much kill almost anybody except for Yoda and the dude with the long fingernails that becomes a Jedi Master too.
So how did it end? What happened at the end? They basically got away, right?
Yeah, they pretty much all.
Jedi arrived. Didn't the other Jedi arrive right at the end? Another Jedi arrived.
Yeah. Somebody was looking into them, and they're trying to figure out what happened.
The guy. Yeah, it was like Avol Ra, whatever they gave him his Jedi name. He was originally supposed to go to Dalna, or was it he was supposed to go to? Oh, maybe he was supposed to go to the Quest of the Hidden City. I think it might have been Quest of the Hidden City, but they mentioned his name really quick one off earlier, and it's like, oh, he was supposed to be here, but now he comes to the planet because they haven't heard from him. That's the thing, they haven't heard from the Jedi in a couple weeks, so they sent somebody to look, and then like what is it? The lady that runs the hotel is like, well, they were with the Path, so go check out that. He finds the tunnels. He finds their calcified bodies. It specifically said neither one of them have lightsabers. And weeks prior, they loaded up into the Gaze Electric and left. But I find it interesting that the Elder, who works with is the right hand of the Mother of the Path. He talks to Yana and is like, and Marta, and it's like, listen, we have to get rid of the Mother. So there's already infighting within the Path and gaining power type of thing. So the young adult book, obviously, I haven't read the adult book.
No, the Mother effectively killed that chap's daughter, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
So he's not very pleased about that, even though he sort of just didn't.
Oh, because he sent them.
Yeah.
They sent them, I need you to do one last mission. And he wanted them all to die. And Yana came back and was like, she tried to kill all of us, for trying to leave. And that's, I think, when people were starting to go against her. But there's still so many mysteries, like the mysterious benefactor. Does the Mother actually have Force visions? What are they going to do with this one Shri Karai? Because remember, in Rising Storm, there's like one frozen in ice or something. Something's frozen in ice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we might see, this might be the leveler that we're seeing, because I think they name it the leveler, if I'm not mistaken, because they say this takes from the Jedi. So we might have seen the boss, and then Rising Storm starts off with finding the leveler frozen in ice from another ancient Jedi battle type thing. So we might see all that play out, where we're seeing the birth of the leveler. Then it may end up frozen in ice in a big battle at the end of Phase 2. And then Rising Storm finds it, and then he brings it to a big battle for Phase 3. So it's all these little threads that are connecting, very difficult to connect, and it takes a lot of work. It's just what's so great about it. The young adult book seems like the big story for this, almost more than the adult so far.
I think from what helped for me is there was very unusually for the High Republic stuff, there was only really a handful of characters to think about, and that made it very easy to get into the quest for the hidden city of Doom, whatever it is. That's already got about 15 or 20 characters in it. I'm like, there's too many people in this. But that's what I liked about the Path of Deceit. It was only a handful you had to remember. It's very easy to keep up with who was who and what they were and that kind of stuff, and that just made it really easy to get straight into this new phase.
Yeah, and then they kill most of the characters at the end. Yeah. So really, you only need to remember Marta and Yana. That's it.
Well, yeah.
I just double checked my notes. And the Mother does specifically call this creature the Leveler. And in Rising Storm, Markion and his aunt, which I can't remember her name, specifically say, we want to unlock the Leveler. And I always assumed that was the rod. And I'm like, oh no, it wasn't until conversations not too long ago, actually, where I'm like, oh my gosh, the Leveler is the name of the creature. So he definitely ends up frozen in ice somehow.
So
that's like,
okay, going back to that book, when he goes to that planet, that's where he was supposed to be from, right? With his people, that he's kind of been like not exiled, but he hasn't been back there. So are those like descendants of Marta and the Path of the Open Hand?
Because Markian calls her like his cousin or something like that.
Yeah, his cousins. He said, yeah. So
I have my notes here, but it might take me Old Woman Meets Ro is Kufa. So her name is Kufa, his cousin. Yeah, so it specifically says his cousin. So, and obviously Yana is Marta's cousin. So obviously they may go off into different ways and create their own families because Marta's going to have to meet a male Everini because Markian's father is also an Everini. So they're going to have to meet some more Everini species. Yeah, so it's the old, in my notes, Old Woman Meets Ro is Kufa, his cousin. They're going to the shrine to see, quotations, the Leveler. So yeah, that's what we're seeing is really the backstory of the Leveler, who I believe is still alive, which should lead into a giant Phase 3 battle because the Jedi have straight up said at the end of Phase 1, we're not in this battle anymore. We're backing out. And there's this huge discussion. And we didn't discuss the Eye of the Storm comics, which I know we don't have time. But yeah, that conversation is really interesting too, because it's like, listen, we're not leaving this battle because we're scared. We're leaving because we don't understand it. And once we understand why we're randomly dying and turning into dust, then we'll get back to you. So this Leveler is going to play a huge, the Leveler who is the leader apparently of the Shriekerai, or maybe just the oldest.
Well, and like, why don't they know about it? You know?
Well, that's what we'll find out, isn't it? It's all been covered up.
I'm going to think just because they just die off, really.
And nobody really knows. Like that guy, he got there too late. You know, he just found the stuff on the floor.
Yeah.
Like,
so they just know it's calcified. And, this is 150 years prior. It's just like, oh, they kind of died. They don't get it. So they could easily, kind of retcon and say, oh, yeah, that once they seen that it was calcified, they knew it tied to their past, but they didn't ever figure out why anybody calcified.
To be fair, they have lost planets as well at the Jedi. So not very good at keeping record of stuff. Ooh, missing planetary. We find it.
Yeah.
Yes. They have a great record. They seem to forget all sorts of things. But we had all that conversation about how the galaxy seems to have forgotten who the Jedi are.
The Jedi are after
exactly. So it's a very forgettable galaxy, basically.
That's the name I haven't heard for a long time. 5 years ago.
Yes.
Check it. I was reading some of my other notes from Rising Storm, and that's where it's like the connection is just crazy. Where she calls the Jedi the faithful, and it says she is specifically from Jeddah and Dalna at one point. And she asked Ro, will you reopen the hand? So it's obviously like the path of the open hand falls, and it's now just called the path, obviously with him, or the paths, and he calls it the Nile. So yeah, it's all these crazy connections where Phase 2 is just going to give. It's really not going to be probably as big as the first one, but it's going to fill in so many little gaps, and that's why
like
again
Lost. They're flashbacks.
Flashbacks, yeah, or the prequels.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
It's kind of like if you watch like the OT, or if you want. Okay, so there used to be you watch episode 4, A New Hope, right? And then you watch Empire Strikes Back, and then you go back and watch 1, 2, and 3, and then you watch Return of the Jedi. It's kind of like doing that. It's kind of like a machete.
I never got that. I never got the machete order. I don't get it. Like,
well, I don't like when they leave movies out of the machete order. But yeah, if you watch like up to Empire, and then he's like, "I'm your father," then you go back and watch Anakin's whole story, and then come back to the ending. Then yeah, it's pretty satisfying. I think that's what they're probably going for. It's like, oh, we mentioned all the stuff. Now here's 3 movies about what he was talking about. Here's how it's possible. Yeah.
Here's 6 books on the Leveler and Dalna and like all this history. So High Republic Phase 2 off to a great start.
Yeah, I did like this.
Yes. Okay. Well, we've done that. We're out of time. We'll skip the. We'll have a quiz at some other point now. But we might do a Christmassy thing. We might try and have a Christmas party, perhaps. And
yeah, that was fun last year. Ryan has to die again.
Yeah. I was like, man, what do I got to do?
Ryan has to die again. Somehow Ryan returned.
Yes. We've just got to try to remember who's holding the trophy at the moment. I think it might be Marie.
I think it is Marie from the last quiz we did.
Yes.
Your faulty one.
It gives me more time. To organise a proper quiz. Then we can have a proper Christmas kind of party episode.
Yeah, the Star Wars Insider magazines, I've been getting those. Like, they have quizzes in the back, but they're pretty simple. So I'll have to take
That'd
a look.
probably be hard for me.
We got to stump you.
That's why I do
Stephen.
the questions. I did the questions.
Oh, that's why you do the questions.
Yeah, because I wouldn't stand a chance otherwise.
Oh, I can't remember anything. Everything I live off of is notes.
What is Marcion Rowe's cousin's name?
It's
What was the name of the
Markion.
Yeah. What was the name of the junior novel in the High Republic? Crest of the Mission to Mission
Secrets of the Hidden Temple.
The Crash Point Hidden City.
Planet X. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. We are done. So, thank you very much to my friends from across the pond. On this week's episode, we've had Ricky.
Hello. Goodbye. Hello.
Goodbye. Hello.
Goodbye.
And
I don't know.
And we've had Ryan.
Goodbye.
So,
I kind of like your just sudden ending, your Andor endings where you're like, okay, that's it, folks. Goodbye.
It's just like
surprise. It's the
it
end.
starts with the Andor intro. It takes ages until we get into it, and it just ends at the end. You say, we're off now, mate. We're off now.
Yeah. And Ricky hits the music. That's good. No, that's it. Bye.
Yeah. So it's goodbye for me, and it's goodbye from them, and it's goodbye from us all. We will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Happy holidays.
All right. Bye.
Ball.
Go switch off.
I am the Senate.
Be sure to follow us online. We're at Facebook at PSW Senate. Join our Positive Star Wars Facebook group where we all are in there interacting. You can find us on Twitter at PSW Senate. On Instagram, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. And on TikTok, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. We look forward to hearing from you.
The Force will be with you, always.
We had a big discussion, didn't we, about thinking the answer wasn't right on one. I'm trying to think which one it was now. I can't remember. There was something. There was one question and one answer. Everybody debated whether it actually got it right, but I can't remember now. Anyway, we've got 10 more questions from that quiz to go through, so we can do that. So we'll just do the usual. Have we got any news? We haven't got any news, have we?
Just the announced dates for what is it? The official Bad Batch, because that was kind of a surprise. They switched back over. Just like official release dates.
Yeah. I saw. You guys.
In the game.
You seen the screen, the behind the scenes bits from the Aconite. somebody's got pictures of the characters from the Aconite and posted them on.
Yeah, I tried not to look, but they did pop up. I only seen one image though of a character.
They've done about 4 or 5 on the thing on the article I was looking at.
Yeah, well, I try to avoid it. So.
Well, yeah, I kind of feel that stuff that's starting to leak out. It might with that kind of thing. It's kind of best to know less, I think, especially when it's all about refining how things happened. You kind of don't want to know too much before you watch it, I think.
Yeah.
So imagine we had spoilers on, for like Empire Strikes Back and stuff before we had the internet when Empire Strikes Back first came out, and people were going around. Apparently, Vader is Luke's father.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be absolutely bummed, wouldn't you? Heard any of that before you watched Empire Strikes Back?
In German, Vader means father. I'm like, shut up.
Does it?
That's what I've heard before. I don't know if it's real or not, but I've always heard that. That Vader, like in Germany, it means like Dark Father or something like that. So, and they're like, oh yeah, that's his father. I might be wrong. That's always something I heard. It might be one of them old internet rumors. So,
I think that was right though. I'm back.
I never verified it, so I wouldn't put 100% faith in it. But it's something that I always just kind of believe.
I'm just going to get Google Translate up here a minute.
And I had a piece of paper. I wrote down everything I did this month, just so I wouldn't be like forgetful. And I just lost it.
Vader in German means Vader in English. That's what it's translated.
Is it supposed to be Dutch or something?
Wait a minute, let's do it the other way around online. I'm doing it the other way around.
Just do father. Type in father. See what comes up.
Right. Father.
I thought it was supposed to be Dutch.
Father in German is Vater. Vater. Vader in German.
Well, when they pronounce it, when they say Vader on the screen.
They say it, yes. When they say it, you're right. Vader. Yeah, it's Dutch, actually.
That's what I've been saying, Dutch.
Okay.
Yeah, Vader is the Dutch word for father. And the German word for father, Vater, is similar. However, in the earliest scripts of Star Wars, the name Darth Vader was given to a human imperial general.
So what do Dutch people speak? Is it just Dutch?
You live in Pennsylvania, don't they?
They call it Pennsylvania Dutch. They do. That's Amish.
So got somebody's asked a question, one of these Google things. So dark in so it said, what was Darth Vader called in Germany? So dark in German is Dunkel. Father in German is Vater. So the character's name would be Dunkel Vater, which would mean Dark Father.
Dunkel Vater. I knew it was your Faustins.
We should do that. Should be quite fun, wouldn't it? To do Star Wars characters in different countries and stuff like that, and we could do a script.
I think Darth would probably be the same because it's an invented title, but but obviously father changes with every language.
Yeah.
Oh dear, that is funny. That is quite funny, actually. I wonder if somebody's done some Star Wars.
Hey, we should do I was suggesting earlier we should do some Rebel recap. Catch up with where Ryan's at.
Season 1.
What Rebels? I can't remember that now. I can remember bits of it.
You were just watching it.
Honestly, I don't remember much about it either. So. It was good. I'm picking things up, but I'm actually taking notes. I'm taking notes on the Star Wars comic. Yeah, I watched a couple episodes lately.
Okay.
Let's see, where was I last? I don't remember where I was last. Ahsoka's still with them. It's just like general heist that I've just kind of been like, okay, another heist I see.
Trying to think which one that was. I don't know. We're like on season 3 now. So.
Good Lord. Well, I mean, I probably would be a lot farther, but I've watched 28 episodes of Lost instead.
But seriously, my daughter was like binging it. She watched it like for a whole day because she really likes Rebels. So.
What, Lost?
No, not Lost.
Right. Star Wars. What about Rebels?
Yeah, I can't remember most of the episodes of Lost.
Oh, I surprisingly can.
Oh, it's
I've
so
watched it
good.
over a couple times, but it's been a minute.
It's better than I remember. Binging it like this. I've tried binging it before, but I can't make it past a couple episodes. So I finally burned through the first season, and I'm, headstrong into the first. And I just, they're into the Swan. They're into press the numbers now, and I keep getting all these flashes of things to come, and I'm like, oh my god! I remember having a soon-to-be image. It was the background on my phone when it came out because it was just so freaking cool, man. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about all this stuff.
That first episode still holds up very well. So
With,
I think the whole first season is like one of the best first seasons in history. I mean, it establishes characters.
You didn't know
gives
about the
them all
polar bears and all that
backstory.
stuff, and yeah, it was all kinds of mystery.
I still remember that funny. There's a funny scene, isn't there, in the Dharma cages with Sawyer and the dog biscuits and stuff. And there's another scene to remember. There's a really funny scene with him. He finally works out how to get the biscuits out of that.
Oh my gosh, with the polar bear
stuff, yeah.
It's still any time to this day when we get like a large thing of ranch, we still call it Dharma Ranch. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's yeah. I see some Dharma stuff around still. I'm like, man, I freaking love that show, and it is. It's so the mystery of it, and my wife is like, she's like, I ain't watching that crap, but then she's start watching it, and she has all these because it's the pinnacle water cooler talk show type thing. And so she has all these crazy theories, and she guesses a bunch of them, type of thing.
I did see Sawyer in person once. The only celebrity I've ever seen at Disneyland. He was walking
really
around. Yeah, he was with his family. He was with his wife and kids.
Oh yeah. Remember, you took a photo of it?
Yeah, I had a photo of him. Yeah. So he was. They were going. They had like a guide and everything with them, and like I think they were going to go eat at some restaurant. They were like waiting to get in there or something. I don't know, but it was a downtown.
Is this after
Disney
the show?
Yeah, it was.
Was it kind of like?
It's in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it had been after. When did that show end?
Well, quite a while ago now. Strangely,
I don't remember having a kid yet. So yeah, we didn't. I didn't start going to Disneyland until after she was born.
Did you? The first thing you said when you saw him was it "son of a bitch"? Son of a bitch.
Like, why people keep saying that to me all the time? What is the thing he always calls what's her name?
Freckles.
Freckles, that's what he was called.
Freckles. He called her legs for a while. So he just calls Michael Mike. I'm like, yeah, don't push that one. So but then like Jen, I think he called him what is it? Like the plane guy, whatever that is.
Plane guy.
You remember the plane, that guy?
Oh, Tattoo?
Yeah, I think he called Jin, the Asian, like the Korean guy, Tattoo. I'm like, geez, like.
So he's gonna get canceled on the island.
Yeah, he certainly lightened up after that first season when he was just a bit badass, sort of like mystery sort of guy, wasn't he? Sort of argumentative and.
Yeah, and he had such an interesting history. That's the thing. The mystery makes the character so much better. And it's funny because my wife and partially me kind of hates like Jack and the main girl. Oh shoot, what's her name? Kate. Yeah, because they're like the popular kids. They're hiding everything. They're doing all this. Like Jack thinks he's in charge, and it's like just because you're the leader, Jack, people want you to be the leader, doesn't mean they have to bow down to you. And then it's people like Sawyer that has amazing backstory, and Hurley. I pretty much wake my wife up or like make her watch anything with Hurley and Sawyer in it because their backstories are just so good.
And he does a bit of Star Wars, doesn't he? Doesn't he rewrite Star Wars in one of the later series? Don't even when they go back in the Back to the Dawn.
Well, I don't.
He tries rewriting Star Wars and publishing it. Yes, that was one called I Like Off, isn't it? One episode is called.
I don't remember all that stuff, so I don't want to spoil too much of it. I don't remember all the sideways flashbacks that you're talking about, and I'm kind of worried about it.
That's the last series.
I don't remember that
the last series. Yeah. The only thing I don't like is it doesn't really mean much, but that's just me.
It was supposed to be like they met after they.
No, yeah, I know what it's supposed to be, but I mean, at the time we was watching it, we all thought I always wanted something different, and it just happened to be nothing apart from their souls meeting each other, which basically what it was.
Yeah. You are everybody.
You are everybody. Don't you remember that hit? Don't you remember it?
I remember there used to be a lot of spoof stuffs, and it was always the one that the singer I forgot his character's name.
Charlie.
Charlie's like, I like to paint my nails with marker and smell them. He does that the whole show.
Yeah, he does.
That probably started. Did that probably start the whole J.B. Abrahams and having his bum favourites on every show that he did?
Well, yeah, because
they're always there, aren't they? Charlie, the pilot stuff. Chap.
Snap was the pilot.
Yeah.
He was. I just seen that. I can't. I was like, oh my gosh! To me, he's Matt Parkman from Heroes.
That's what I was calling him too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Heroes.
I love Heroes. Yeah, that was
I'm probably
JB
gonna
too,
rewatch
right?
that
Yeah.
again.
That was Bad Robot too. I have season 1 on DVD. I have the box
Save
set.
the cheerleader, save the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna rewatch that show after Lost. So.
Once it got to the carnival season, I was like, they kind of.
Yeah, the first season is definitely the best.
They should have made Silas
the other ones
a
were really
good guy.
Really
Yeah.
fell off hard.
I don't think I even bothered to watch the last season. And then didn't they have that reborn one?
Yeah, I watched that. They made
I never
Parkman into the
watched
bad
it.
guy.
Oh, is it actually a continuation, not like
yeah,
a
it's a
remake?
continuation. Yeah.
Oh, well, now I may have to watch that.
Yeah, I think they brought the dad back, the horn rim glasses guy, and
Oh yeah.
the Haitian guy.
Oh yes, the Haitian guy. I forgot about it. He was the chap where he made everybody's powers go away.
Yeah, he erased their memory, did he? Right.
Or something like that. Okay, so we'd be pretty sure that we aren't going to be joined by anybody else. So what are we going to do then? Bad Batch.
Round table.
Round table. Then we can
Table,
do
Bad Batch, Path of Deceit.
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And we have some general High Republic Phase 2 conversations, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to be reading the comic books of High Republic too much. So if you can discuss them that way, I know if you guys are up to. I don't know if there's are there new ones out, right?
The Marvel comic, the first 2 issues of the Marvel comic dropped. Not a lot is happening, honestly, but it's all, you have to kind of wait for the whole arc to realize.
Did those go back in time
there's a
too?
ton. Yeah.
Oh.
They're definitely tied in. If anything, issue 1 happens after Path of Deceit because it has Sunshine Dobbs in it.
Does anyone have? Is there like a synopsis for the book? Is anybody gonna recap, or are we just gonna?
Path of Deceit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan made a novel out of it.
Oh yeah.
I do have a ton of notes, but I don't know if we wanted to go. I did cliff note it this morning, just as like some general talking points if we're just like scattering all over the book. So, but I do have like a cliff notes section of it, like something.
I couldn't go back and
it's going to be like a remember this.
Yeah, because I did the audiobook, so I didn't even have reference to go back and read things. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like I have the audiobook for
most of it.
Convergence too, but I haven't had a chance to do that.
I was wondering because I thought you guys said you had it, and I haven't heard anything from it. So
Yeah, no, I've been meaning to start it, but I've just been so busy. And then I had checked out the ebook for Secrets of the Hidden Temple, whatever that one is.
Rest of the Hidden City.
Yeah.
Temple City.
Yeah, I wanted to read that before I started Convergence because I thought that was the order. So
don't.
No.
Don't.
We'll do Convergence first.
Yes, there's something that I deem a spoiler. I'm like, well, god dang, what the heck? Right the very last sentence. I was like, well, that seems like a big spoiler. And when you check it online and Reddit, a lot of other people are like, dude, that feels like a spoiler for Convergence. So I would definitely read. It's really nothing, but it's literally like the last paragraph. You're just like, oh, and this happens. And you're like, that's what Convergence is talking about. And you just spoiled it. So I would definitely go with Convergence first. I haven't read it yet, but everyone I see is say that feels like, and to me, I immediately was like, that feels like a spoiler.
I'll probably start that.
But you just don't know how big of a story it's going to be in Convergence. They could deal with the problem in the first chapter and then explore something else, but I don't think so.
Well, usually the younger books go after the junior novels, right?
They got in release order. Yeah, in release order, Temple, Crestwood Temple came before Convergence, so that's normally the.
Yeah, usually but I mean, again, these were all written long ago, and the release order's been totally messed up for whatever company they've been choosing for printing. And
one got delayed, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah, good point.
They pushed everything around. So yeah, the Marvel, the Adventures comics from Dark Horse, the kind of little kids version of the comics for High Republic, that one released, and that's almost like the backstory in Adventures with my store didn't get it for me though, so I'm upset. So I'm waiting. I gotta wait like 2 more weeks to get it. But it does have. Did you read the Adventures ones? Did you guys read the Adventure comics?
I did for the first run.
I did both series, yeah.
I don't think I read all of them, but like I think I skipped the annual with the baking contest. But I think I pretty much.
Do you remember the temple arc in Adventures where they bomb like Maz's castle?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, with the Cubone
yeah, there
guy.
was a character with a big. There's a character with a big hat.
With the what?
Savla. Something.
Yeah, the Mexican Jedi.
No, she had a huge hat, like a big hat, and she was the one that jumped from ship to ship, blowing up ships. And like the little Padawan kids were like, "Dang!" Well, this is her backstory when she was young, in Adventures with Maz. So I'm like, "Oh, that sounds neat." So it seems like the same style. The Marvel comic, I don't know what they're even talking about yet, but as we'll see in Path of Deceit, there's something going on in Jeddah. This takes place on Jeddah. So, but they're only 2 issues in, and not a lot's happening so far.
Right. So,
oh, hold on. Let me go. I gotta turn off. Mickey Mouse keeps singing in the background. So, like, let me go turn it. I have these lights that have a sensor, and they keep going off. And I don't know if you guys can hear it in the background, but it's like super loud.
No, I haven't.
Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. 2 seconds.
Okay. Right. So we haven't started yet.
We don't want to get hit with like a strike for using copyrighted material.
What's that?
We don't want to get hit with a strike for using copyrighted material. You don't mess with the mouse,
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Yes. No, I don't think. That's only if you read it ad lib, wouldn't it? But you would get reread it or sentence by sentence where it would get done, perhaps. But actually, some people do that. I've seen some videos on YouTube. People actually make their own sort of like audio book out of the stuff and just read it. Or some people actually just rip the old audio book and
came back. Those things were loud.
Right. Okay. Okay. Let's. Should we just go for it then?
Sure.
Okay. Right. Yep.